All right, we are live. It is Saturday night live stream. I'm Tony Bruno. This is the stream where you can join us on the panel. So anybody watching, or I'll make this announcement again. I'll put a StreamYard link in the chat so you can jump on the live panel. So feel free. This is a 2020 in review. So we've got our awesome panel guest, Frank Pesci, and Mantidote Gene. We'll start with Frank. How you doing tonight?
Doing great, man. As always, it's an honor and a pleasure to be here with you two fine gentlemen. I'm looking forward to getting into tonight's subject matter.
Why don't you give everybody your social media real quick, too?
Yeah, man. Sure. Just as it appears on the screen, you guys can get at me on Instagram, Frank_Pesci_. We're trying to build our influence on social media. We feel like we have a lot to say in regards to solutions and opportunities that are now available for 2021. Exciting stuff. I promise you, it's not just pictures of just nonsense. We're about action. I do have a team behind me. You'll hear a little bit about my team tonight, and yeah, man, follow me. I would appreciate it. And man, we'll exchange, man. There's always things have to be mutual. It's a two-way street. So do get at me there. I would appreciate it.
Okay. And Frank, I do have in the description of this video, I do have a link to your YouTube channel in there.
Yes, we haven't put as much into the YouTube channel yet. However, we just finished the construction on our YouTube studio. And we should be up and running and hitting the ground running with a great strategy for YouTube, I would think, in the next 30 days or so. So if you do check out my YouTube channel, it's pretty much just kind of me kind of just talking, saying what's on my mind. It hasn't been professional or set up in that way at all. But hey, if you want to get to know me and a little bit about the way that I think, at least in some of the stuff I put on YouTube, check that out. But again, I would point you towards Instagram. We are carrying forward solutions and ideas for 2021 that are highly relevant, things in the crypto space, things in AI supercomputing, and actually owning the supercomputer, actually owning the seat, actually producing a fixed return for yourself. We're teaching people how to get out of the dollar into appreciating assets. We're showing people how to decentralize power from what was to what will be. We want everybody to walk into their purpose, to step up into the leadership that they each of us carry individually, and really be all that we can be, like the old Army slogan, right? Be all that you can be in the Army. So anyway, I'm thankful that you guys are here, and man, I look forward to engaging with our panel and any guests that jump on with us.
Okay, awesome. And Gene, you're next. Tell everybody.
Hey, everybody. Thanks for tuning in. Just enjoying the first couple of days of 2021. And there's definitely a shift from 2020, at least I feel. And I'm really enjoying that, living life one day at a time, appreciating life, exercising a lot of gratitude, enjoying it. And I'm glad to be here. I hope y'all have been blessed as much as I have. Let's rock and roll, fellas.
And they can find you on Instagram at Mantidote.
At Mantidote, like antidote. That's where you can find me on the Instagram, and you can find me on YouTube at Primal Man, PRIMAL Man, and that's me.
Awesome. Okay, cool. Well, it's funny you said that about 2021. It does feel different to me.
It does.
It's wild because, as you guys know, I'm in Florida. So I didn't have that much change, and I'll say, except for the people around me, like people wearing masks and the whole paranoia thing. So Florida didn't take the hit like probably the rest of the country and different areas in the country that just absolutely just, spoiled out, I guess is the word, But so, I do feel better that it is 2021, and I hope that, everything can move forward in a positive way, because we've heard so much negative crap going throughout this year, and everybody's been scared and paranoid. The whole country is upside down. And the part that bothers me the most about this is that all these other countries look to us, the United States, as like we are the barometer in this whole world. And our shit show that's going on right now, it's embarrassing to me, to the United States. I mean, it really is. So, but you know, this whole show is going to be about, or whatever. We're going to have some guests coming on too. So we got a few people now in the live. So we're going to have some guests jump on here, special guests, probably within the next hour. So, but yeah, I mean, you know, I'm looking forward to a positive 2021. So, but let's start with a year in review. I know probably a lot of people have done shows about this already. So anybody's in the chat, man, you've got, I see we got Dylan Boston in here. He says, let me bring this up. He says, this is my 4th Bruno podcast today. And he says, in Boston, we survived the toilet paper famine. Yeah, that's true, man. So, but John Boston, we always, you know, if you're welcome to come on the live stream, buddy. I'm going to put a live link in the chat. So anybody watching wants to come on, feel free to jump on. So, but yeah, so let's go ahead and start with either of you guys, whoever wants to start, man. You want to start with a year in review or your take on 2020? So either one, man or Frank, go for it.
I'll jump in.
Okay.
I was just going to say 2021 sort of feels like we've reached the top of a mountain. We finally made it over the other side. And we got this whole new world out here in front of us now with the coming year. A lot of opportunities. And I just feel like that we've crossed a point. We've came to a break in the resistance, I should say. It feels like, to me anyway, I don't know if you fellas experienced that as well, but it feels like there's been a break in the resistance, and things are going forward from here.
Awesome, man. So how did your life kind of play out in 2020? Were there any major changes that you and your family implemented this year? Yeah.
Oh man, look, I have to look back to 2019 to give you that. 2020 was a year of maturing for me in a lot of ways. It was a year of gaining a lot of personal wisdom and turning to God and spirituality a lot more, especially towards the very end of 2020. And it's been a very weathering experience, a strengthening experience of 2020. Also, you know, a lot of aggravations, a lot of frustrations, but it's exposed a lot of things in me. And how can I ignore it? And I appreciate 2020 for doing that, for exposing a lot of different things. And I learned a lot. And that's all I can ask for. And as far as business and my personal life, it improved. No doubt, my business grew. My quality of life has improved. So for that, I'm just grateful and blessed. That's all I can say.
Let me ask you guys a question. You brought up a good point. You said it made you stronger. So
yeah.
Let me ask you guys a question, both you guys. Do you think it made more people stronger or made more people weaker?
I don't know if I was just talking to you fellas about that, or I was talking to someone else about it, but I think 2020 divided people up into two characters. It either made you a more dependent cog in the system, or it made you a stronger man. It either weathered you or made you more dependent. I hope that answers your question.
I feel like every opportunity to get stronger was given to everybody, because you don't get stronger unless you're tested, right? You can't determine the strength of something, the integrity of something, the loyalty of something, the character of something until it is tested. So I think everybody was given an opportunity to not only prove to others who they are, but to prove to themselves who they are and what they can handle. I mean, as we know, life is full of tests, and how we handle that. Hey, you know what? I feel like I got to sneeze. I'm sorry. We're gonna overcome. I'm seeing when I overcome that test right now. Watch that. That's strength. Stoicism. All right. So I think that everybody was given an opportunity to learn themselves and to demonstrate who they are to the people who do count on them as well. One thing that I remember that I heard at the 21 convention, Dr. Shawn T. Smith, I think his name was.
Oh yeah, love him.
He talked about how a father has a duty to maintain a low emotional environment in their household in the face of stress, because the children, the wife, everybody's going to look to the father to set the tone on how to handle stress. And if the father is panicking, if he's all stressed out, if he's up in arms, then everybody else is like, hold on a second. There's no confidence in the leadership. Like, we're in some serious trouble. Think about if you're on a boat in the middle of the ocean, the waves are rocking, and it's really bad. You run into the captain in the galley, and you're like, hey, captain, you ever been through this before? He's like, don't worry about it. Been through this a million times. Why don't you go back to your quarters and just relax? And then I'm like, all right, I'm good. If I meet the captain and he's throwing up in the galley and he's like, we're doomed, I'm like, we're waiting for disaster. So that was a big takeaway at 21 Con that I got for myself in terms of how I interact with my family, is try to maintain, low emotion in the face of stress, even if it does weigh you down, even if it is a burden, even if you're not sure. Your job is to make sure that the morale of your people remains high, because if people feel defeated, then you have a much greater chance of being overcome by defeat. So I think 2020 rather gave us every opportunity to exercise that. And if we failed some of those trials in 2020, I've personally failed some of those trials in 2020. I'll be the first to admit. But 2021 is the opportunity to take everything I learned from 2020 and push it forward into 2021. And I think 2021 is going to be a good year.
Would you agree, both of you agree also, that includes when you say basically being stoic, being positive around your family, not showing fear? Do you think that also do you include your social circle?
Certainly.
No doubt. Yeah.
Certainly. And I think it's a good opportunity to learn who should be in your circle and who shouldn't be in your circle during that time.
Well, it's funny you said that, because with what's going on, I want to say my I don't know why I'm having a problem saying this tonight, but my social circle tonight, or I'll say in the past few months, has gotten smaller.
Right.
And I'm not the kind of guy that, I love everybody, but I don't place judgment on people. So I try to act, how do I put this, in other words, I want to see people look at me by my actions versus my words. And I think that's more important.
Agreed. I think it's also, treat people how you want to be treated, which means demonstrate for others what your expectations are of them. If I show you respect, if I treat you with respect, if I hold the door for you, you know what? Next time there's an opportunity for you to treat me with respect and hold the door for me, I'm demonstrating to you how I expect to be treated through my actions. I totally get what you're saying there, bro. Totally get it.
Yeah, I think 2020 was a year of fear and anger. And I just think that people either succumbed to that fear and they gave in to the anger, or they learned to overcome it. I like the word overcome for 2021. 2021 is going to be an overcoming year to the things you couldn't overcome in 2020.
Well, how can you guys, both of you guys, how can you, I'll answer this question also, but how can you tell somebody who's having a hard time overcoming it, how can you get them to overcome those fears and those issues? So
love them. That's all I can say.
Sometimes, we're able to offer perspective to somebody that they cannot see in their circumstances. Like, have you ever been in a situation where you're seeing kind of like this, and then somebody comes alongside of you and is like, let me help you change your perspective a little bit. You know what I'm talking about? So, I mean, I think the first thing is, first of all, be willing to meet somebody where they're at. Recognize that, we're all made in God's likeness and God's image. And, that should be the first judgment that you make about somebody. not about the clothes that they're wearing, not about the car that they're driving, not about their skin color or their, geographical, upbringing. That's all secondary. Primary is that, we are all the same at our core. And while we have differences about us, that's what makes us unique and wonderful. It's being willing, first of all, to meet people where they're at, offer maybe a perspective that they don't see, and then you give them that, and then you see what comes back. Somebody may totally not like your perspective, and therefore no further input is, welcome from you. You can't go around telling people what to do. You can only, share a little bit of information at a time. If somebody welcomes the information that you give them, then there may be an opportunity to share more information and make suggestions. So I think just being willing to show up and not prejudging people, I think that's going to be really important in 2021, because we saw division really being promoted in our country. We saw a lot of things that were, wrong with the system, a lot of things that were promoted out there, and we have an opportunity to respond rather than react. So I hope that people use 2021 as an opportunity to respond with positivity rather than negativity, because we've obviously had our fair share of negativity. So, I mean, that's my commitment, at least, man. I'm ready to step up to the plate and just be the best version of me, and ask people to be the best version of themselves. If that's well received, great. If that's not, that's fine too.
Yeah, it's funny because what you had said, it's funny because I don't even like saying the other side, but certain side will say, okay, trying to divide everybody, okay, but then now let's unite. Let's divide, but now let's all unite, because we're going to get what we want. So now unite with us. And to me, that's kind of weak on a certain side, we'll say. Everybody.
Yeah, I don't give no mind to that. I don't pay no mind to that. But I see where there's a lot of frustration when that comes into play. It's like it reminds you of the nature of a little kid, of a crybaby.
Yeah.
I've been frank talked on a lot of good things, and there's a lot of things you can approach people with truth and non-judgment, things like that. But I've kind of been leaning towards the side of letting go and just treating people with genuine love. And I don't mean that in a silly or frou-frou kind of way, but I mean that in a godly type of love way, an understanding, and just sort of let go of your expectations. And I don't know much more that you can do than that, because you'll run yourself ragged and you'll be drugged down your personal life if not. So let go. Sometimes you just gotta let go.
John Boston has a question here, and I'm going to put this up here. Do you feel the government will overcome the COVID clamp on the population? Mandatory face mask, mandatory vaccine to leave your home. I feel it's part of the plan to keep division. I'll start with me. Yes, I do. I think I think it was all a narrative. I mean, this is my opinion. I think it was a narrative for an election. You can call it, people will call that a conspiracy theory. I don't care. But I think it was a narrative for an election. If this wasn't an election year, I think this would have been over. But this is a form of control, and this is my opinion. This is a form of control, whether it be face masks, the vaccine, leaving your home. I mean, the fact that you even say that, somebody has to leave their home. I mean, that's crazy, Frank, you want to go on that?
I appreciate the question, John, and I've noticed that you've been joining us for a lot of our live streams. So, feel free to jump on with us even, man, anytime. The link is posted out there, man. You have a lot of good information. Do I feel the government will overcome the COVID clamp on the population, mandatory face mask, mandatory vaccine to leave your home? I feel this is part of a plan to keep division, or your words. I don't know what the future holds, man. It's apparent to me that COVID and the COVID narrative is not going away. And the next step in this whole narrative is now accept the vaccine. Look, the politicians are doing it. Look, the doctors are doing it. The airlines are telling you you won't be able to travel internationally without it. Some places of work are going to require it, and perhaps your bank will force you to get it so that you can bank with them. We don't know to the extent of what this is going to go to. It's going to go to the extent that we let it go to. We have a responsibility to resist. And I don't mean, I'm not insinuating anything except you resist the way you know how, the way you should. All right. You'll have the feeling from God on how you should do that. There's a lot to be said about it, man. I think that enough people feel that way about it, that it's not going to unfold without resistance. I think a lot of people are waiting to see what happens on January 6th and thereafter January 20th. And after those dates, I guess we're going to discover what is what. It's just a matter of a timeline unfolding. So I can tell you, me personally, I'm a free man, whether Donald Trump is president, whether Joe Biden is president, whether Nancy Pelosi is president, doesn't matter to me. I'm a free man because they're not the ones that provide freedom to me. I walk in freedom. I will go where I need to go. I have a higher power in God whom I believe in. And any challenges that come to me, I'm a man that will stand to the face of those challenges, and I will deal with them as I see fit. So I encourage everybody to do the very same. Don't be shaken. Fear is a tool. They want to use fear to oppress us. And I reject fear, because you may kill my body, and that's fine. But I promise you, man, I'm going to be raised up. And that's the truth.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Hey, I've got an awesome surprise guest, and that's Coach EO, Mr. Chan.
What up,
What's good? What's good, everybody? How's everybody doing tonight? Yes.
How you doing?
I'm great. I'm great. Tony B, the Tony BRUNO show. So shout out to Tony for making this very influential broadcast for people to come on and voice their opinions and offer their perspective. So this is going to be a big show in 2021. I'm calling it right now. So I want to say hello to Frank, who is the Ray Liotta of 2021.
That's right. I saw that.
Yeah, I gave him a compliment. It's the eyes. The eyes, it's the eyes. He's got the New York eyes. Yeah. So, and Mantidote, what's up? What's good, my brother?
What's up, man? Looking forward to getting to know you a little better.
Yeah, appreciate it, man. Appreciate it. I just had a big full slab of ribs and a big dinner, so I could barely breathe right now. But and shout out to Tony, as always, the Tony BRUNO show. So,
I one thing, Coach, is that Coach's phrase, and I'm not sure if you guys are familiar with, but it begins and ends with the man.
That's right.
And that is a great. That says so much right there. So
that's right. That mantra will outlive me. That'll be that'll be around for a long time, I believe. But I will say I overheard something. I had this conversation with a client the other day, and you guys spoke on judgment briefly. I encourage each person listening to this broadcast to judge more in 2021, because I think because you didn't judge hard enough, more thorough enough, that's why you're in this position to begin with. Mm-hmm. So I think there's a difference between harshly judging and just judging for the sake of, hey, is this a good fit for me? Yeah. Will this bring fruit? Will this bring me blessings, or will this bring me curses? Will this woman, is she a good fit for me? For those of you out there, dating, hey, a woman, if you allow her, again, it begins and ends with the man. The man has to allow it. But if you're naive, if you're led by sex, if you're not emotionally stable, you're going to find yourself in a world of pain. This goes for business partners. You could bring on business partners that maybe the first 6 weeks, first 12 weeks, you saw potential. But then on that 13th week, you saw something that like, whoa, but you can't ignore the 13th week. Mm-hmm. If you got to cut ties at the 14th week, then you got to be a man and do that shit. So I want to encourage men to judge more than you did last year, because if you're walking around like this saint, like, oh, judge not, and you're going to find yourself in a world full of pain. So
Coach, wouldn't we kind of call that maybe call it discernment, right? Like,
yeah, I would say God has given each man, each woman the discernment. We all have that knowing inside of us. We know when I always say the gut test. You should know by the gut tells the truth. As a matter of fact, your health is in the gut. So even your wellness is in the gut in terms of being able to discern a good situation, a good fit, danger around the corner. Someone's trying to con you. There's a bunch of con artists out here. So I want men to judge more in 2021 so you can make better decisions for you and your family.
Interesting perspective.
Yeah, well said, Coach. Well said.
I want to welcome John Boston for the first time. Brother, you've been in here a lot, man. I'm so glad you're here. Glad you're here. It's great to see your face, man.
Thank you. Can you guys hear me?
Oh, yeah, we can hear you fine.
Oh, great. Okay.
You sound like you're from Boston. We hear you, bro.
Yeah, we parked the car in Harvard Yard.
I'm gonna hang on guys. I'm gonna bring in one of our regulars. I got to bring in Anthony right now. There he is, Anthony from California.
Hey,
there he is.
Yeah. Good to see you, Anthony.
Good to see you.
I want to speak to Coach if I can. I think that was such a great point that he made, and this is why our points have to be made in context, and this is why we have these panels, because we're able to together form a mastermind. So in judgment, yes, 100% love how you put that. Discernment, willingness to step up to the plate, say what's what, and to make decisions on what you want your circle to be. I recognize you, Coach, from what I see from you on Instagram, and I recognize you as a leader. And because you're a leader in your field and a leader among men, I notice that you put yourself out there. And by putting yourself out there, you're the one that is first putting out the information, and then you're giving all people, an opportunity to respond, whether they respond positively, or negatively. That is their opportunity to respond. But I do recognize your leadership out there. I speak to the same thing. I'm trying to do that too. I think 2021's a great opportunity to promote leadership and give people an opportunity to respond. I don't care who you are, where you came from, what you're doing. This is what I'm putting out. And I'm not speaking to you, Coach, I'm just speaking in general. This is what I'm putting out. If you latch onto it, great. If you don't like it, that's fine. The door is over there. But I'm willing to make myself vulnerable in that regard.
Yes.
But yes, dude, yes. And eventually the circle will become tighter. There is a need for leadership right now. I believe that leadership is becoming decentralized. We will no longer look to one person to lead the masses. Leadership will rise up organically from who we are. And I believe that's who God made us to be. So, dude, I'm excited, bro. I'm excited.
Yeah.
I love what
I like what you're doing, Frank, with your channel. I just followed you. I'm happy that I did. I like to see the day 1, the day 2, the day 3. I think that's very clever. Let me just also, give an example of what I mean by judgment. Like, we're judging all the time, whether we want to admit it or not. Like, when I go to the grocery store, I'm looking at lemons. Do I want this lemon or this hard ass lemon? Do I want this group of bananas, or do I want the ones that look like I got about a day left with those bananas? Do I want the purple meat that's expiring later today, or do I want the meat that's expiring next week? So we're always judging. And I think sometimes you've been told not to judge, but I'm telling you to judge. Judge, but don't judge like an asshole. Just judge like a wise man.
Right on.
Just judge like a wise man, and you'll be in good shape. You'll attract a better woman. Your children will respect you, just like you said before. If you're not stoic in the household, I actually coach men in their 60s. I'm coaching men of all ages, and I'm even helping men in their 60s right now become more stoic and have a more emotional discipline. So I want to encourage people to judge more, but not like an asshole, and not to discard people like they're garbage, but to simply be able to make the best decision for yourself and those around you. So judge more in 2021.
Praise God, bro. It was awesome.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, that kind of brings me to what my dad said. Is my dad has always told me and my brothers to choose your friends. Don't let your friends choose you. And I think that's really important. Yeah, I mean, that's great wisdom, with anybody. I think a lot of guys are worried about who they're with and more of a stigma, like who am I hanging with? Who am I, and I look at like right now the 6 guys we have on here, and I am stoked to have all of you guys here. I think we got quality men, Again, John Boston, we just met you, but I noticed you're always here. I'm going to put your question back up there, and I'm going to shoot this to Coach EO right now. I don't. Well, I think I know.
I'll take it.
But I think that I think he's right along with us. In fact, I know he is. So.
Do you feel the government will overcome the COVID clamp on the population, mandatory face masks, vaccine? Well, the government introduced this whole thing. so once they feel their mission has been accomplished, then you're going to see the backing off of this stuff. So, just understand that once they're, and I feel like a big portion of that mission is being accomplished. Unfortunately, I'm a supporter of Trump. I've always liked Trump for his brass balls, not necessarily his political beliefs, although I think some of his ideas were great and he was getting some things done and draining the swamp. But the guy's not perfect. None of us are. I appreciate his honesty and his transparency. So those are the reasons why I like Trump, because he's real. That was the reason why I like Trump, and that's the reason why they want him out. So I will tell you that once the government has accomplished what they set out to do, which I feel it's either at the middle or it's right at the middle. It's the needle has surpassed the midway point. Then I think you're going to start to see these things back off.
Let's go to John Boston. John Boston, go ahead and answer.
Hey guys. Well, one of the things I saw up here in the Boston area when this whole pandemic happened, and just talking about the men's issues, men's community. I was part of a large men's community. We used to meet, and then we had to stop meeting because of COVID. And what was interesting, it's funny. I'm a lifelong Republican living in Massachusetts, which is kind of like it doesn't happen. But I've been able to see more and more Republicans in Massachusetts. And what's really interesting, when this whole process happened, and being involved in this men's organization for a while, it was interesting to see men with their wives and being out in couples and different events, and seeing how men were grasping to this, like, oh my God, we all have to wear a mask. Oh my God, we're all going to die. Oh my God, we all need a vaccine. We can't go outside. And then there was these other men that were like, this is not a big deal. 99%, nobody's going to die kind of thing. So why are we getting all worried about this? And what's interesting is it's caused this big separation in the political climate here. And I'll tell you, going out, you would be chastised going out without a mask here in Boston, and you would have, neighbors saying, hey, you should wear a mask. I'm going to call the police on you. It was really pathetic. And these were guys that I knew that just, it was such like a female-led energy to, oh my God, we have to do something. And I never really wore a mask because I didn't think it was a big problem. Yet I did find out later on people did get really sick from it. But I think men are just really lost today.
That's why we're here.
I really think the role of masculinity, the role of fatherhood, has been just stripped away. And if we live in an environment where, I don't want to talk about the election, but if we live in an environment where they can come in and dictate like this, we lose our rights. Voting doesn't mean anything. The courts are completely changed. Men have no rights. I mean, it's just going to get worse and worse for men. And I don't think men can't just sit back and let this happen. It has to change at some level. But it's completely different. What I've seen 2020 versus 2019. I think as a men's community, we had more traction in some ways, but a lot of men just got really caught up in the COVID thing and sort of like fell off to the wayside. But others came along on the other side, so it's a good balance. But I came on today. I've been out And this is my 4th BRUNO broadcast today. Every time I look at my phone, I'm getting an update that George Bruno, which I followed George for years. And so I see a 4th one come up. I said, well, I might as well be on this one today too.
Might as well. And now you're on the panel even. So
yeah.
We're stepping it up a notch. So we've got just so you know, John Boston, if you hang out, we've got Steve the Dean Williams is going to be jumping on shortly. So
okay, yeah, I know Steve.
So you'll get a chance to, if you haven't met him, you get a chance to talk with him. We're going to go to Anthony Velasquez. Oh, real quick, just so you guys know, Coach EO is in Chicago, right, Coach?
Yes.
I mean, the stuff I see going on in Chicago is insane.
See, I see me. I'm so immune to a lot of things. I've seen so many things. I've seen dead bodies on the grass. I mean, I've seen so many different things that like nothing bothers me anymore. Like when people talk about division, I'm like, dude, this has been going on since the beginning of time. I mean, like why is this such a big deal? Like, and you know, and then I could, you know, like I said this during the Red Man group. I think it was last Saturday, that if you suffered greatly in 2021, then that means that you didn't produce much or make any positive movement in 2018 or 2019. Because if you did, this would have been kind of a vacation for you, and you would have been able to take some time away from the busy world and create yet another plan for yourself. So like me, for example, I worked my ass off. Really, I mean, all of these years, but the last 2 especially. So back in March, I left the corporate world. Once they said, hey, you got to go home. There's a flu out here. We got to figure out what's going on. It's been mandated you go home. I retired 2 weeks later from my corporate job. And then I entered into the empowerment coach position officially 2 feet in. And I haven't been happier. I'm free. I'm boundless. I'm coaching men all over the world. I'm extremely positive. At the same time, I'm also very realistic. I always try to remain in the neutral zone, because if something bounces my way, I'm able to take it on. If something doesn't bounce my way, I'm not devastated. So that's one thing I would tell every man or every woman listening is try not to get too synthetically positive, because then you're setting yourself for a big disappointment. Try to remain neutral at all times. If you're blessed by the Most High, fantastic. You're blessed all the time anyway. But if something doesn't bounce your way, it's no problem. If something bounces your way, hey, that's no problem. I'm ready for both things to happen. Stay fluid. That would be my advice to people listening.
Yeah.
Amen.
Nice. Real quick, Coach. Anybody who's watching, like in the rebroadcast here, watching the actual recording, how can they find you? They want coaching with you.
You know what? I have a brand new website that I invested a lot into. It's championgamecoaching.com. You can book an empowerment session there with me. You can also find merchandise. My first book is there, which is titled Cut the Bullshit. So so that you can reach me there. I have the channel, Coach EO. Pardon that I don't have my face shown right now. I have a half haircut. I was just in the middle of cutting my hair. There was another thing, guys, that I learned in 2020 is I learned how to cut my hair by myself. So I learned so many things having that time off. And keep this in mind. I think once people were forced to stay indoors, you kind of saw the truth, like in your household. Yeah. Maybe your garage needed to be cleaned. Maybe your wife never liked you or hasn't liked you for the last 5 years, and you're finally finding out maybe you don't like her. Maybe you don't like her ass either. So you know, I'm not saying to leave, I'm not saying to stay, but I'm saying let's face the truth. So look at Leota looking around. But anyway,
German Shepherd trying to come into the door.
But I feel like if you want, I would say this, and then I'll stop talking because I know I've been talking a lot since I came on. But
that's good, man.
There's nothing better than the truth. Nothing. Even if it hurts, even if it stings, even if you feel like shit, there's nothing better than knowing the truth. Nothing.
Amen.
Can confirm on that. We lost Anthony because I was going to go with him to the question. I think, man, you got to answer this question next, or was John Boston? Did you answer your own question?
I didn't answer a question. No.
Your own question. Yeah, you did. Right? Yeah. Kind of. Yeah.
Well, I live in Massachusetts, so everything is like, it's a quasi commie government already. But it's interesting. I think that we're not going to be able to get our driver's license unless you have the vaccine. I think they're going to make things just really tough on people. Unless you have the vaccine, you can't go out. Getting on a plane is going to be a federal thing. But I think each state is going to have its own whatever kind of guideline. I mean, what's going to happen next? Are we going to be in a situation where if you buy a multifamily home and you decide to buy that property either for rental as an investment or to live there yourself, are you going to have a vaccine so you don't get other people sick? We don't know how far the tentacles are going to reach into other businesses and where this is going to go.
What's keeping you in Boston?
Mostly because of families here, and I have property here, and that's pretty much why I'm here. I was thinking about going over the border into New Hampshire, but maybe in the future I'd probably head south. I got some friends in West Palm Beach that keep telling me to come down.
There you go.
Yeah. I could travel anywhere. In 2020, I traded more options volume in 2020 than I've traded in any years. I've been trading for a long time. And if anybody's looking to generate some cash flow, I really think trading options, mostly just in the big indices, don't go chasing Bitcoin and all of this stuff. I mean, if just slow and steady income, I love cash flow. I got to have that cash flow every month. That's kind of like the way I do it. And I'm not looking to hit,
Well, I'm going to say you're going to have a little pushback on the Bitcoin from Frank. Just saying.
Yeah.
But John Boston, real quick, how can somebody find, let's say they want, is there some way that people can find you?
Well, I don't have an internet presence. I happen to be, just on tonight, but I haven't set anything up yet. I've been thinking about it. I've been thinking about setting up a community to help men with their financial issues, especially with all these men going through divorce. Their life gets thrown upside down. I went through that myself. And I just think it's you can rebuild much quicker when you acquire so much knowledge that you never had before, and if you do things right. And I tell guys that, but you got to have the will and the desire to do it, and you've got to just cut the bullshit, like Coach EO said, and just make things happen.
Well, John Boston, I am so glad to put a face to that name tonight. It really is nice. It really is. And that's one thing about this stream. That's what I like to do. And I think that it creates a community of men. You know what I mean?
There's one thing I'll say to that gentleman that just was speaking. He has a voice like an educator.
Yeah.
And so to encourage you to move forward with that plan that you said that you're debating on, voice is important, and I think your voice, it motivates people to want to make change. So you have that kind of teacher sound to your voice. So that's something that, because I coach other coaches too, or people that want to become coaches. I do, discover talent in people that maybe they're not aware of. So I just will say that, you have that tonality that I see. You can be a great educator if you want to be.
Cool. Thanks.
Yeah, he had me locked in, man. When you were talking, I was stuck to every word. So that you got Coach EO who does it every day, and you got other guys on the panel, man. So you got something to offer other men or women, whatever. Throw it out there, man.
I just want to add, my family's from Italy, so I'm first generation here, and I grew up with a very it's so different what you would see in America, in the sense that I had a lot of men in my life and had a lot of women in my life. And we'd have family gatherings. The men would be with the men, the women would be with the women. I grew up in an environment where my father and his brothers, they would go hunting. They'd get deer, they'd skin deer. I was around them. I mean, we would make wine, we would make sausages every year. It's what the guys did. We all hung out with the men, and divorce didn't happen. Everything was like everybody was happy. I grew up in a generation that's so old school, it didn't happen. And it's just, we've lost so much of this. And it's just like men don't have any direction. The loss of being the family leader, the patriarch in the family, it's really not what I remember growing up. And I think this is a tragedy for our society, especially in these blue states that have just demolished men and having any say in what they want to do and how they want to run a family. It's, God forbid you want to be a man in this world today. You can't do it. It's disgusting. Sorry, I'm on a roll here.
That's great, man. No, that's what you're here for, man. To get it off your chest, man. This is Saturday night. Talk it out. That's cool. I want to go to, we're going to go to Anthony Velasquez first and then to Man on this question. So, Anthony, want to answer that question? Do you feel the government will overcome the COVID clamp on the population, mandatory face mask, mandatory vaccine, to leave your home? I feel this part of the plan is to keep division. And Anthony is in California. So,
yeah.
Anthony, go for it, man.
Oh, I think any government that's pushing this right now is going to push it all the way to the end. I think they're going to push it till it's ridiculous. I mean, you know, as crazy as this past year has been, I mean, 5 years from now, you could have people wearing masks in California. And as crazy as that sounds, it wouldn't surprise me today. And I think people say, well, that's not possible. No way. It could be possible. If you've seen what I see, it's definitely possible. I think people could wear masks for the rest of their lives. And they would, you know, if they were scared enough, they would do it. I mean, eventually you think people would learn, but I don't know, but I don't, I mean, I really don't think that's going to happen, but I think it's going to last a lot longer than people think. And I think the reason for it is already gone, but, we can, anybody can argue that, but none of us are scientists. None of us are biologists. The experts are saying everything, but whatever. It's all a bunch of bullshit to me. But, I think as far as government can't do shit. And for the most part, government can't do much of anything. They're pretty much the worst. They're pretty much worthless on most things. They can't help most people do anything. If you're depending on the government to do something, you're screwed. You're screwed already from the get-go. From hour one, you're done. You got to do it yourself. But as far, and the way I look at it, as far as in certain areas, not all governments, because we are 50 states, but say in Boston, in Massachusetts and in California and New York, a lot of the big cities, the big states, I mean, they're pushing this for no reason, dude. We're not walking over dead bodies, and they're manipulating the numbers and everything. And so, and I know people in other states, like my dad, he lives in Arizona. He calls me worried, like, are you guys okay? It's like, and he's older, so I can't tell him, like, Dad, the news is full of shit, man. Don't just turn the box off. Go play pinochle or something. I can't tell him that, because he believes it. He grew up with, with the big three, with Dan Rather and all the other people, lying to him for those, but little lies. But now, he's been retired for 20 years. He just sits there and watches TV. It's like, you can't help anybody like that. And it's cruel to even try to tell them that, this might be a lie. But, I think, my opinion, it's going to go on as long as they can keep it going. And it doesn't matter who's president or anything like that. They're going to keep it going on as long as they can. For what reason, I have no idea. Why do they do a lot of things? I have no idea. I mean, I guess it's for power, for whatever. But it's just, why government? I know. I guess it's for power, but it's like it's for stupid power. For power over idiots. I don't know, but I don't know why. But that's another discussion. But it's going to go on. It's going to go on all this year.
Let's go to Man on this question.
Thank you. I would like to ask the question, when will people overcome the fear clamp? Not the COVID clamp.
I'm okay. I'm done.
So So, and when will we overcome the government and the fear clamp? I don't know. I don't see people overcoming fear that quick by the masses. I think it's going to happen slow. And I think that's what we should be focusing on is how can we overcome the fear of this? Every person that may be afraid of it, how can you overcome that fear? And look at it from that perspective. And I'll just keep that short and sweet like that.
Well, when you say overcome the fear, what demographic is the most fearful right now?
Percentage-wise or culture, or what do you mean?
It's just demographic as far as, we'll say, age demographic.
Oh, I say from, I would say mainly probably there's probably a gap between people that are less afraid, I would say in their 30s to 40s, but I think there's a fearful gap towards the early, the generation before me. I'm 33, and people that are probably 50 and older is probably where more of your fear lies. More like the mentally immature, the younger ones, and the older ones.
Okay, I'm gonna agree with you there. I'm gonna say that that younger age, because I see certain, and I hate to keep bringing up the mask, but to me, when you're a healthy guy and you're in a grocery store wearing a mask where you really don't need one, especially here in Florida, they're not forcing you to wear it. To me, that's just a compliance. Like, I'm just going to do it. And I don't understand that mindset at all. Yeah. Are you that fearful? I think we talked about this on one of the streams. It was a different stream, but are you that afraid, like, of death, period? Is anybody afraid of death on this panel? There's a question.
Absolutely not. I will tell you this. I know at least 3 people close to me that were diagnosed with the COVID virus. Okay. And whether they had it or not, I don't give a fuck. Okay. It's none of my, I don't care if they had it. They were diagnosed with it. Okay. Now, I will tell you this. I'm not afraid of COVID. I'm not shit. I probably had AIDS at one point from fucking so many bitches, and I beat that shit too. So I'm being honest with you. I think I beat every STD there is. That's how strong my mind is. So if I could beat AIDS, I can beat COVID. All right. So, but what I'm saying though is, if I get COVID, I might be good. But if I, go say hello to the neighbor and she needs help with something, I give her a hand and I pass it on to her. I'm just saying, like, to me, I'm good. But the next person doesn't think like me. They don't have an abundance mindset. They don't see fear pushes me to enlightenment. Like, the more fear I have, the better I become. Okay, so but for the average sheeple, the more fear they have, the worse they become. But it's a mindset thing. It all happens in the mind. So for me, the more obstacles I have, the better it brings out in me. Okay. But the average person will collapse under pressure. So the one thing I will say is, like, guys like us, yeah, we may not need it. We could walk through, and we'll be fine. But not everyone thinks like, Tony and the BRUNO brothers, or, or Anthony, not everybody's like us. Right. So just being mindful of that is important. That, we're like 2% of the world, man.
How do these people overcome fear of a germ, Coach Eo?
How do they overcome the fear of a germ?
Yeah, not fear in general, but how do they overcome fear of a virus? How can people do that if they're afraid of COVID?
Well, remind them when they were young, they played in the dirt, and ask them to say, you're still alive, aren't you? Like, you played in the dirt, you drank water from a dirty ass park, water dispenser. You dropped your sucker on the ground in the mud and then put it back in your mouth. I mean, did you die? Like, so you have to, like, be as basic as possible with these analogies, kind of like Jesus did with parables. He would always bring people back. And I'm not comparing us to Jesus or anything, but in a way we can be like that. You got to simplify and say, yo, you know how many viruses you've already overcame? You know how intelligent your immune system is? It's the most intelligent piece of technology far better than any other computer system, Apple, whatever. So trust your immune system. Trust your body. It's the most advanced piece of technology that you'll ever, partake or utilize. So I think sometimes just simplifying it and bringing them back. Hey, you know how many times you were exposed to germs and viruses and you didn't get sick? So stop acting, stop panicking, stop doing that to yourself.
Keep it simple for them.
Yes.
Good insight.
Gents, I got to jump off. I appreciate you guys. I'm sorry I had to dip out of here early tonight. Man, it's awesome to have Coach EO jump on with us, John Boston, and the regulars. I wish I could stick around, man. I got to take this meeting, though. But next Saturday we're here.
Yeah,
look forward to everybody's content this coming week. Say no to fear. All right? Everybody on this panel is telling you that. It's the right thing to do. They instilled fear in us through a narrative. Now we're gonna deconstruct their narrative and create a new narrative, and people are ready to hear it because there's something about a new year that gives people, I don't know, an inspiration or a little bit of boost of energy to make change. So I'm excited. I grabbed that positive energy, and yeah, guys, I'll try to see you later, if not next week. So
Frank, you're like a monster, man. I love it, man, dude. Every time you speak, I get fired up. I do. Every time Frank opens his mouth, I just want to jump through this friggin' screen right now. Frank, I love your energy, brother. I really do.
Man, and JC's about to jump on right now. JC, man, I say hello to you. I'm glad you came back. I really enjoyed you being on last week. I don't know if you're on Instagram, brother, but if you are, try to connect with me. I enjoyed talking with you last week, but I got to dip out of here now. If you're still on later, maybe I'll be able to get back on. But folks, again, Happy New Year to you all. And let's keep it real. I'll see you soon.
All right, Frank.
Happy New Year.
All right. Yeah, JC, if you want to jump on, man, there's I don't know if you see the live link there, but JC was on last week, and he had some great input on it.
When you talk, I think of The Departed, that movie, right?
I thought you were going to say Boston accent on Saturday Night Live.
No. Well, I don't mean that, but everybody knows what a Boston accent is. So
Well, I think of Goodwill Hunting is what I think of. So.
I'm probably about 10 miles from where that was all filmed. Yeah. Well, they filmed it all over. Yeah.
Yeah. What was this? What was the saying in the movie? You like apples? Is that what it was? Yeah. So how do you like those apples? I got
you like those apples? Yeah.
I got a number.
Now you like them apples. Yeah.
So,
We got Dunkin' Donuts on every corner around here. It's amazing.
Oh shit. That's garbage.
Garbage. I have a bunch of friends, and we tell the same story about COVID. It was after Christmas last year. A bunch of us were together, and then we didn't see each other for a few weeks. But we all sort of got sick around mid-January and kind of wasn't feeling good. And maybe we caught it, maybe we didn't.
John, I'm going to interrupt you real quick. That's about when I got sick, me and my buddy at work.
Yeah, about that time. So we all got together at a friend's house because we were going to a concert. And Cheap Trick was playing in my hometown. Now, things were closing down already. And so we were joking, saying, oh, my God, we probably got that Chinese flu. And we were calling it the
Kung Flu.
Kung Flu, yeah. We were all doing that. So we went to the Cheap Trick show. There must have been, over 1,000 people there. It was a small auditorium. And we didn't think anything of it. And then the week after that, they were talking about, oh, my God, all these people that were at the Biogen conference over at Long Wharf in Boston. They've traced 2,000 cases back to this. And, I did go into Boston. I did go to Mass General. I went to those hospitals around there, and I was looking for these trailers that they were talking about with all these people that were dying. I didn't find them. Well, I don't know if they went to different hospitals. There is a lot of corruption going on with this. I had a family member who did get sick and I ended up bringing that family member to the hospital, stayed overnight, and the next day came home and was nervous that potentially they could have had COVID. So I ended up bringing them to Newton Wellesley Hospital, they had one of those drive-in tents where they had the nasal swab test and also the mouth test. Well, it turns out the test was negative. Then about a couple of days after that, there was a nurse that showed up at this relative's home, came to check on her when she was in the hospital. And the people from the hospital said, you have COVID, because they were dressed up in the whole, the whole face mask and the bunny suits and all that. And it was on her record that there was a positive COVID test. Yet I had a negative COVID test that I saw from another hospital. So I kind of wonder if it's like they were just tagging everybody with COVID, and anybody with Medicaid, they were just saying, let's make it COVID and collect the money. And it turns out it took a few weeks to get that fixed, but there was reluctance on both physicians' side at two competing hospitals to get that diagnosis taken off the record, that it was not a positive COVID test. And that relative that was in the hospital wasn't even tested for COVID when in the hospital, yet got a positive diagnosis, and it was on her record. I experienced it, and how much of this went on, we don't know. That's why it's hard for me to trust everything that's going on with this.
Well, let me ask you a question about the flu. We haven't heard about the flu. And what I've just read something is that doctors are not prescribing Tamiflu like they normally do. So COVID is actually it's a virus that is, whether it's the flu, but there's so many COVID viruses. And this is my personal opinion. And to anybody that's watching, I don't want you to think that I don't think that COVID-19 is not real. I do. But I just, from what I see and where I'm at, I don't think it's as harmful as the flu. So has anybody got the flu this year? Does anybody know?
If I got it, Tony, and I was pretty sick back in October, I didn't go to the doctor. I mean, I just didn't go. I just
You're selfish, EO. Selfish.
But I also didn't go out too much either. I kind of did my part. Okay, I'll stay in. I will tell you, it's more about the fear that's making it worse. It's the anxiety and the panic that's heightening the symptoms, because people get flu. People been getting flu for so many years. I mean, so like you said, this is a certain strain. It's a specific virus, but if nurtured properly, you just like any virus or flu, you nurse it, you the orange juice, the vitamins, proper nutrition, rest, you'll be fine. But if you keep watching this fucking news and you keep hearing, people fill you with fear that you're gonna die, you might die. I mean, I'm being honest. I mean, death happens in the mind first, and then the body follows. So that's how it goes.
I said one day, if you're afraid of dying from the China virus, you've been dead a long time. Don't worry about it.
That's right.
And I'll tell you, they are blowing this thing up. In my opinion, I mean, I can't tell you how bad it is or isn't, but I know, like in Israel, they've been using this peptide. It's called vasointestinal polypeptide, and you spray it in your nose. And what that does is it stops the cytokine reaction from having the body explode with all the inflammation. I have a friend of mine that works in managed care and is at nursing homes and runs around and does all this work. Now, this person is overweight, diabetic, blood pressure issues, but the person's on a drug called losartan. And losartan is an ARB medication for blood pressure. And they're using this medication to block the cytokine response that happens with COVID. The news is out there, but the media is not going to talk about it because losartan is so cheap. Why talk about it? I had Lyme disease, and at some point, and I ended up having some bottles of Plaquenil, which is that hydroxychloroquine, and that does the same thing. It's used for rheumatological, arthritis and all kinds of things, and that blocks the reaction to it. So there's so many things that are out there for therapeutics. Do we really need the vaccine? I mean, look what happened in I think it was Africa. They were taking either hydroxychloroquine, ivermectin, and I heard Alinea was being used. these medications are used around the world, and it seems like they're pushing this vaccine, and I think it's for the wrong reasons. But my recommendation for people, if you do have blood pressure issues, is to take losartan, because that seems there's a doctor that I see because I got sick with Lyme that prescribes a lot of losartan, and the patients that use losartan are not getting sick with COVID. It's a small population that's been tested, maybe 500 people, but it's a good enough sample for me to tell me I'm just going to stay on losartan and have that block the cytokine response. So something to look into.
That's good information, John. Very good information. You should share that somehow on a larger scale, whether it be a blog or, even a video. Maybe people should know about that.
Yeah, I'll probably get blocked by YouTube. I just got back on Facebook. I've been banned on Facebook for about a week. I think I said Joe in the hole, and they blocked me for like a month or a week, whatever it was. Crazy.
You guys, we're going to bring on JC real quick here. JC always had some great input. JC is from the Northwest. I'm not sure. I do remember he's about 30 years old. Just had some good input last week, and we're going to bring him on right now. So, and I like that avatar. So, JC, how you doing?
Good. Yo, what's up, fellas? How's everyone's new year going so far?
Good, man.
Hey, what's going on?
This is we get on little tangents, but this is kind of a year in review night. So, JC, if you want to tell everybody about your year real quick, that would be awesome.
I think my year is probably much like everyone else's. It started off, like any regular year. I heard a bit about, since you guys are talking a bit about COVID here. I mean, I remember hearing a little bit about this virus that was over in Wuhan, China, I think around maybe October, November of 2019. I didn't think much of it. And then, all of a sudden you hear of a case down in California, and with no travel related connection, so it's community spread. It was kind of downplayed at the time. There wasn't a whole lot of information from the World Health Organization on it. And then all of a sudden things just blow up, I guess, in Europe, Italy. And I think at that point in time, people started to pay a bit more attention to it. I remember the specific area where I live at. I mean, the grocery stores were empty. The gas stations were empty. There was just like a mass hysteria. A lot of people weren't really prepared for what was yet to come. Unfortunately for me, I took a little bit of a like my job that I perform. I was forced out of my employment at the time. So I think really the last year has really just been a lot about like self-reflection, looking at, the things that I thought were important in life, prior to the pandemic. They don't seem as important at the moment. I think I've kind of, recategorized my objectives in life, and I think that recognizing how dependent we are upon these safety systems, these social safety systems that we've created for ourselves, and when those things are not available, how it affects the psychology of the society that we live in. And so kind of, seeing that breakdown between family and friends and community, you recognize how vulnerable we all are at the end of the day. So as a result of that, I've, worked on some self-improvement, fitness, health, of course, nutrition, trying to build more solid relationships as opposed to, these superficial relationships that we all have with people. They proved to be rather fruitless. When you needed somebody during the pandemic, those superficial friends or support system that you thought you had, they weren't there. So it kind of made everybody, it kind of shedded everybody's skin in a sense. Like we kind of seen, who our friends and neighbors were and who we were as individuals. So about midway through, I think I kind of transitioned into like a rebuilding phase where, there was a little bit of an ego, death in terms of, who I thought I was. Obviously I wasn't that person because I was so dependent upon the system. And then it was just more of like a tear down and rebuild, so, coming into, end of 2019, feeling a little bit more confident. I have things in order. Things just seem to be, a bit more secure right now. And I think the things that I'm searching for in life are not necessarily, you know, financial or, you know, things that are from monetary value. I think it's more relationships, you know, having some belief systems, some objectives, some form of faith, you know, I think is truly important. And, you know, just kind of, you know, cultivating those relationships. And, you know, here I am in 2021. You know, we have a new year. The last year was definitely a roller coaster ride, but I think if I take anything positive away from it, it gave me an opportunity to equip myself with new tools, you know, moving forward. So that's kind of where I'm at with it.
Oh, dude, that's a great breakdown, man. That really is. I love that. I like what you said about, you know, basically what you said is about evaluating relationships with people that you have. And I think this year has done that. Whether I wanted it or not, it has done that to me. Like somebody like myself, I live alone, okay? So not having that family around me or people with a family or even living with a wife or a girlfriend so I didn't have probably the same outlook that a lot of people had. Maybe Coach Yo, maybe you had the same outlook I had.
I've been by myself for quite some time, so it wasn't a huge change. I mean, if any, actually, nothing really changed. I mean, other than the fact that you'd have to put the mask on and that sort of thing. But I didn't watch the news that much to begin with. I used to be an avid news watcher in my 20s. And then I barely put the TV on anymore. I mean, I keep up on current events or worldly events just enough to know what's going on, but not so much that it fills my mind and it takes me away from my own personal agenda. Yeah. And I will say that JC, his commentary was brilliant and it was a very good breakdown. I can see there's a lot of self-analysis going on there. I will say that it's sometimes healthy to go to intentional extremes where, like he said, you know, money's not a big deal right now, but building, you know, real authentic relationships are. And I think doing that is good, but then but once you kind of get that in your system, it's like, okay, now I know how to be more authentic myself. And then I know how to gauge authenticity in others and even promote authenticity in others by being more authentic myself. So the more authentic I am, the more authenticity I'll extract from other people or I'll push them away. So one of the two will happen. You'll either extract authenticity or you'll repel them because of your authenticity. But because I've been in that situation where I kind of went to extremes like, man, fuck money. I don't need money. But then like 6 months later, after I went, you know, making minimal money, I'm like, hey, where the fuck's the money? You know, now I want money. And then, you know, then you go through seasons where you're like, hey, fuck pussy. I don't need no damn pussy, man. I'm gonna be on my own. And then the next 6 months, hey man, where the fuck's all the pussy at? You know, it's because, you know, sometimes going into those intentional, what was that word that we looked for? Intentional extreme conditions is good, but just remember that once you kind of implement that, whatever it was you were trying to do, once you see, hey, I can do this, I'm doing this, then maybe like take the gas off in that area and then go address maybe where you had to neglect a little bit in order to improve whatever that first area was. Then now that you know that, hey, I can do this, I can build off of this, I'm coasting now here, let me go back to the money. And then, you know, once you got the money stabilized, you're like, all right, so I know how to make money and I know how to build real lasting, authentic relationships. So then now let me address my health. So it's kind of like you're, and then once you know how to hit it all, then you're a well-oiled machine and you're a bad motherfucker. So that's what I would say in that regard. Oh,
Coach, that was great, man. I love how you put that, man. You know, where the women at? Then like, where the money at?
That's right. Because you're gonna want all of it at some point.
Yeah.
But with a great balance, where you're not overdoing anything. It's like everything is very balanced. So you're not too thirsty for money, but you know how to get money. You're never too thirsty for women, but you know how to get women. You're never too thirsty for a quality, authentic conversation, but you know how to get that.
It's an intentional focus is what it is.
Yes.
Yeah, that's awesome. And man, I'll tell you what, you You just gave my year in a quick summary right there. Where the money at? Where the women at?
That's right. That's right.
So, but John Boston asked a quick question to me. How has it impacted your business relationships? And has your business been affected? I'm a contractor. Right now, John, this time of year is always a little slow for me, so I expect it. But I've had a slowdown, I'll say, in the past month and a half, just because of window and door and materials delays, and that's it. That's really what's affected my business. I actually had a great year.
That's good.
No complaints. But again, I'm in Florida, so I've got a different circumstance than a lot of people. We didn't see that. Again, you go out like if I was to go down to the Roadhouse, which is half a mile from here, on the ocean. Right now, if I was to go there, there would be a bunch of people there, I'm sure, a band playing, no bartenders, no waitresses, no people wearing masks. Guaranteed.
Wow.
100%.
Well, that's amazing. All of our clubs are closed down. I have several friends that play in bands, and they've been shut down for a year. All of their gigs have been canceled. Even in the summer that they had some gigs planned, they closed them all down.
Yeah, I mentioned this, I think, on last week's show, that when I went there with a couple buddies, it took me, actually, when I left is when I realized, like, it was so normal. It didn't trigger me to say, why is nobody wearing a mask? I'm like, oh, I'm back in normal town.
Yeah.
This is awesome. But I didn't really see it until after I left. I'm like, you know what? There's so many people right now in the country that can't experience what I'm experiencing. So,
I had friends up from West Palm Beach for Christmas. They came in right before Christmas and stayed right up until New Year's. And that's what they said. They wanted to go out and everything was closed. We did end up going to the casino, and it was only 25% capacity. There was nothing going on. None of the restaurants were open. There's zero entertainment. The only thing you can do is actually go into the casino, and everything has got glass all over the place. So it's.
And this was in West Palm Beach?
No, they came up from West Palm Beach up to Boston. We went over to the Wynn Casino, which is in Everett. And they just opened the place up last year, and they said, we are never going to close. And less than a year later, they've been closed. When you look at the building, all the lights in the rooms are shut off. They haven't rented a hotel room probably since the end of February, early March. I don't know how this stays. It's so different up here, Massachusetts and New York.
Let me ask you a question, John. Do you guys have like flatbeds of bodies leaving the city every night, or no? Have you passed them? Like
no. I've been into Massachusetts.
And are people walking through the streets just falling down dead?
Zombie land. No, but that happened in Milan because I have relatives that live north of Milan. And when it did start, at first there were people that were dying. We've been losing about 70, 80 people a day in Massachusetts, and the average age is about 82.
Okay.
So was it really COVID, or is it just naturally people dying at that age?
How many people normally die?
I don't know, but I'm sure more than 70 every day.
Yeah. So it's just, I don't know. I just think I think the narrative is just kind of weird. I mean, it's just, it's not what I expected. I don't think it's what anybody here expected. I mean, when this thing did anybody see the pictures from Wuhan on New Year's Eve? You see
everybody cheering
where there's no one, and then Wuhan, they're just hands in the air like they just don't care.
Yeah, because Biden's going to get in, so let's cheer it on. Oops, sorry.
Oh no, say what you need, man.
Yeah. That's probably true. Yeah.
So
they're saying it worked. It worked in Chinese.
Let's go to Coach EO's 2020 recap.
Yeah, it was, when I reflect, it was one of the best years of my life personally. Like, have I had more sex? Hell yeah, I've had more sex than I had this year. Have I made more money than I did this year or past year prior? Well, a lot more. But what I gained this year was freedom. Like I said, I resigned from my corporate job that I was with for 20 years, and I started my own business. And that sense of freedom has really catapulted me as a man first, and as a contributor to society. So this has been a great year. Again, the transition with the stay at home, work from home, or, that didn't bother me because I was already somewhat of a recluse. I would say that I'm introvert. I'm an introverted person with extroverted tendencies. So when it's time to become an extrovert, I can do it. But I've always been a person that enjoys solitude and the quiet time. Like I said, my place right now, I haven't had a TV on in days. I don't put music on that much, only when maybe if I'm doing a workout or just some light meditation or something. But there's a time and a place for that stuff. But I enjoy the quiet time. But just for me, it was all about. It was a year of freedom. It was time to take the plunge. I was making an easy 6-figure income. I mean, well over $100,000 a year. But I was unhappy every day, putting my pants on, putting my suit on to go to work, sitting in meetings. I no longer wanted to be part of those conversations. And I turned 40 this year or last year. And I said, are you going to do this for another 10 years? You're going to be a bitch and you're going to stay here for the money? Or are you going to go out there and take all the skills that you have and run your own business and be as successful, or if not more successful? So I took the leap of, I had the faith in myself. The self-belief was there. It was time to make the decision. I made it. I haven't been happy. I haven't been this happy in all of my life. I also quit alcohol. I stopped drinking. I was a binge drinker for many years. And I stopped drinking alcohol. I no longer have a toxic relationship with alcohol. I don't frown upon it. As long as you know how to drink and you're not fighting people afterwards. I mean, that's fine. But to me, I don't need it. I'm staring at 25 bottles of fine wine and I don't need to open a bottle. I also stopped smoking cigarettes. I enjoyed my cigarettes. I enjoyed my booze. I enjoyed my sex. And I pretty much put an end to all that. I see one person now, which is very unusual, seeing one person. Slow things down. My relationship with God is the strongest it's ever been. So, I mean, I have nothing but positive things to say. I mean, I will say this. How I know I'm growing is that I do far less of what I used to do. And I'm happier than I've ever been. That's how I know I'm growing, because I don't need all those distractions. I don't need the world to be happy. Like, I'm happy right now, right here. But if I go see Tony Bruno in Florida, I'm going to be happy there. If I visit Mantedote, I'm going to be happy. If I see Anthony, I'm going to be happy. So I'm just happy, man. I'm very happy.
That's great, man.
That's awesome.
Thanks
for sharing that. That's awesome.
Thank you.
That's a great breakdown, man. And that's a real positive. It's a positive take on 2020. And what I'd like to do quick is go around, and I'm going to start with JC on this one, because JC, what positive outlook can you give to everybody for 2021? JC?
You might have stepped away.
Oh, no, can you guys hear me there? Sorry.
I just want to know, you gave us a breakdown on your 2020. What kind of positive outlook can you give for people on 2021?
I think, again, it's just having the tools, the ability, and the confidence within yourself to be able to manage uncertainty, and you talked a bit earlier about, when it comes to relationships, when it comes to money, when it comes to, women, like whatever it may be, it's like having a balance within all of those facets of life, I think, is truly important. And being able to live in those extremes for periods of time to become comfortable with being in that uncomfortable situation, I think is super important as well. So like I did go through that phase where I'm still in that phase where it's like, you know, the money isn't important to me. I'm searching more for building relationships and authenticity. And it's sometimes you need to go to the extreme to fully immerse yourself within that, to be able to to truly understand the experience or to take something away from it. So I think, you know, for me, you know, like living in those deep waters, in the murky waters or the uncertainty, there's really like a rebirth or a growth, you know, that occurs from doing that. So I think just becoming comfortable, you know, this is a cliche, you know, the old cliche, becoming comfortable with being uncomfortable, but there's something truly to that, right? It's like living in that space, living in that moment, and, you know, trying to take something away from it. So now that I've equipped myself with that going into 2021, I feel more confident in my abilities to say that if I do decide to make a bold move where maybe, you know, like Coach EO here, you know, if I did decide to go out on my own and start my own business, if I did spend some time in the extreme or not within that balanced place, I at least know that I'm capable of you know, surviving within that. So I think just having that confidence, the self-reliancy, the self-sufficiency, and knowing that physically and mentally and emotionally and spiritually, I'm adaptable or more adaptable than what I was. So yeah, that's kind of where I'm at with it.
This guy, JC, is an intelligent guy.
Yeah,
he's an intelligent guy.
I like his input. I've got a couple guys in the backstage here. I've got I'm going to bring on somebody. These guys have avatars. I'm going to bring George the Monkey on real quick, and DD Strong. So I'm going to be quick on the trigger here. So it's a little early right now, but we're going to bring on. We
have a segment in the show we call After Dark, where things
get crazy. Usually about 11:30. I'm not even sure it's only 10:30, so it's a little easy. But I'm going to bring on DD Strong real quick. So DD Strong, I need you to identify yourself real quick, and so go ahead and say something here. George the Monkey, hang on. We'll bring you on in a second. But DD Strong, you're on.
Hi, I'm just a gay person just trying to be.
All right, we're going to add George the Monkey. George?
Hello.
What's up, man?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure.
Freaks come out at night.
Yeah, we're going to bring DD Strong back on real quick. George the Monkey was banned. Just saying, George. Appreciate your time, but DD Strong, speak quick or forever hold your peace, man. So we're gonna add John real quick.
Hello.
All right. Well, he's banned too. I'm gonna say DD Strong and Georgia Monkey was boyfriend and boyfriend. Just saying. So, but anyway, it's a little early for After Dark. So. JC, I'm not sure you're not familiar with our After Dark.
Yeah, no, I can imagine. I've been around.
Put the live stream in there, and that was I should have noticed the avatar on George the Monkey. So that was whatever. You're gone now, buddy. So
hey, Tony, it's hard to recreate the Hollywood Squares. Right, or the Brady Bunch. It's hard to recreate the Brady Bunch.
Well,
it's not that easy.
I want to tell something to JC real quick. He's got a good voice, also. I can tell he's an introspective person. So I think even if you consider maybe doing some podcasts yourself, I think you could, you know, garner an audience and you can help a lot of people. So you have that voice for podcasting as well, JC. So something to maybe entertain it or consider if you're not already doing it.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that. Thank you. I mean, like again, like, you know, like we're learning as we move forward, right? And you know, the fact that people are working from home and the technology is more accessible, and people are more willing to have, you know, video conferencing and voice calls because that's the new norm now. That it, you know, it's kind of like the inception of this new medium of communication, and I think people that can kind of jump on that early in the game will probably have some success within it because now it's more of a, you know, more socially accepted than maybe what it was, say, 2018.
Very true. Very true.
But thank you for that. Yeah.
Yeah, sure.
I'm going to put a link in here in the live stream, guys. Just so if anybody, you'll see my comment. Don't join the live stream. So, but yeah, JC, do you have any social media that people would follow you on, or something you would want to give out? That's up to you.
No, I mean, I don't have anything set up. I mean, just my, my account here that I'm using, but I don't have anything posted or anything like that.
I want to ask you about your avatar.
It's somewhat of a freedom of speech, liberty, piece where it's like, sometimes we're controlled with what we say, or sometimes we're controlled with our speech. Well, basically, freedom of speech is control. Or what am I trying to say here? Speech isn't free. Well, we see what they want us to see, and we speak how they want us to speak. So it's just more of like an anti, I'm not even sure what it is, but that's kind of what
I could read it. I mean, I'm looking at it going, to me, it was kind of see no evil, speak no evil, kind of.
That's exactly what I saw, Tony, when I saw that.
Is it really?
Yeah, that's what I see. Yep.
Okay.
Yeah. Speaking of which, I was asked a question recently just to kind of, maybe survey you guys. But so somebody asked me a question recently regarding God. And it was an interesting one. And she asked me, what will be the first question you ask God? And so now I'll tell you what I said, but I don't want to, I think I'll go last, but maybe I'll start with Tony. Like if you had, what would be the first question you'd ask him?
Am I getting in?
Good question. That's good. That's a good question.
Wow, that's pretty. Boy, you really caught me off guard there. Wow,
I was trying to.
Yeah. Oh, you did. I mean, what?
Do you want me to go first? Because I could tell you what I said. Okay.
This is a good one.
I really do think
one.
that is probably the first question I would ask.
Yeah, and that's a good question. What came to me at first, and it was so interesting because it was her question was the complete contrast to mine, which is very cool. I love the fact that what I said was totally different from what I asked versus what she asked. But I said that I would ask God, tell me about all your fuck ups. So I would ask God, like, where did you fuck up? Like that was my honest question. Like, just tell me about what you're not proud of that you've done, that you've created. Like, talk to me about some of your mistakes. And somebody might tell me, well, God doesn't make mistakes. Well, not in my world. So, and not to say he's full of mistakes, but there's got to be something during the creation process that he looked at afterwards and said, I might need to tweak that a little bit. Or you know what I mean? So yeah.
He gave a woman a free will.
and he might say that. He might say, hey, yeah,
and everything got fucked since then.
Yeah, and if he feels that way or sees it that way, he will say it. So my first question would be, tell me about your biggest mistake, your biggest fuck up. What is it, if there's anything? And then she asked, it's polar opposite or completely opposite. She said, I would ask him, tell me what you love most about humans. And it was a completely different question, different context. So I love the fact that there was that contrast there between me kind of coming after him, like, hey, talk to me about your fuck ups. And then having that real talk with quotes. But then hers is real talk too. Like, tell me what you love most about your people or humans. So.
Who wants to enter that next?
I would say I would ask him, in your words, who are you and why do you exist? That's what I would ask him. I would want to know his answer to that. Who are you and why do you exist?
Okay.
Well, I'm going to just share something real quick with you. And I think hey, Supernome, what's up, buddy? I had a talk with Anthony Johnson. And we talk quite frequently, 2-3 times a week or more sometimes. And we were talking about religion, and I'm not a big fan of the word religion. Now, you have Christian, you have Muslim, you have Hindu, you have Mormons, you have Buddhists. Somebody's wrong.
That's right.
I mean, somebody's wrong. Somebody's going to be very, very disappointed. I mean,
the virgin, especially the virgin.
Yeah, well,
the guy who waits until
it's funny you said that, because I'm like, wow, what if we go up there and all of a sudden there's 74 virgins waiting for us? We're like, but we wouldn't get them because we're not Muslim. So, but there is going to be a lot of disappointment, regardless of what the end game is. So
I think heaven is a state of mind, and you can have it here now, and maybe not to the level you can have it once you leave the body. But I do think heaven, the experience of heaven, is going to be a singular one for each person. So my version of heaven will be a different bliss in comparison to Anthony's. Anthony's might be completely different. His own bliss, his own singular experience with God. So I don't think it's like I'm going up there to go sit and play bingo or shoot dice with my loved ones. I mean, I feel like each person has their own individual singular experience with the afterlife. That's my feeling on that.
All right, I'm gonna go to who didn't answer this question yet. What EO asked. Anthony, go ahead.
No dice.
That's gonna be.
No, I'm just kidding. Oh hell! I mean, what would you ask? I mean, I want to ask, how do you do it? How did you do it? How does it work? That's what I would ask, basically.
Good question.
How do things work? I mean, I don't there's so much I don't understand. How does all the planets and the stars and the universe, how does it work? How'd you make it? I mean, I'm sure that's just one question of millions, and the guy's probably going to be like, you know what? You got another day, dude. You're going to be here for eternity. Don't worry about it. We'll come back tomorrow, but I mean, I got so many questions, Yeah.
Wow.
Who's next?
I'll go next. When Coach EO said that question, I was trying to think about it, and then something came to my mind that I haven't thought about in almost 20 years. And I was in Italy with my wife at the time, and this woman came up to me, and we were in her town where her family was from, and it was the middle of the day, and she was all dressed in black, and she came up to me and she tapped me on the shoulder and she asked me if I spoke Italian, and I said, yeah, I do. And she said, lei non è la donna della casa, basically saying she's not a housewife. And this woman was gone. I was there for another week, never saw her again. So I went to see my grandmother a couple hours away. I told her what happened, and she's trying to explain it to me. And then she talked to my mom, who then called me, and my mom said to me, that was a warning, you dummy. And it's amazing because I told that to a couple of my really close friends. And so I would have to say to God, I know, you tried, I just didn't listen. But he did help again, because that same year we flew from Rome to Charles de Gaulle back to Boston, and we were in France, and we were leaving, and they brought us back to the terminal. And these police came in. I didn't know they were police. And they had these really small machine guns with them. And they grabbed this guy a few seats in front of us, curly-haired guy. They asked him his name. They told him to get up, and they took him off the plane. So we got home, and then 9/11 hit. And there was a guy that was on TV. I think he was Richard Reed, the shoe bomber, came out of, and he was caught in France. I remember like my jaw hit the ground when I saw that guy on the news. And my wife at the time was looking at that. We were both speechless. We were like, oh my God, that was him.
Oh, wow.
So something's going on out there with we get signals in this life. We just got to pay attention to them. So yeah. I would say to God, I know.
But we don't all the time. I mean, everybody's had those signals.
Yeah.
Especially when it comes to relationships, and we ignore them. That's why we got Coach EO here for these guys, is to get guys not to ignore those signals. So, but man, did you answer this question? Yeah, you did.
Yeah.
Okay, Anthony.
I answered it.
Okay, and then JC, what would you say to God? First question.
I think I would be more curious around, like, you know, what's the purpose of life? What's the purpose of all of this? Would be my question, and understanding, like, in order for something to exist, there would have had to have been potential for that thing to exist. If we look at cause and effect, so then I kind of wonder, like, if God created us because the potential was there through God, then who created God? And then who created that God, and so on and so forth. So there must be, like, different dimensions or different layers to this that's beyond my comprehension. And I think just kind of inquiring, like, what is this all about? What's the purpose? Why did I have this opportunity to experience what I experienced? And how or why is it that I had the opportunities that I did while experiencing that? Why was I fortunate enough to be born in a time or place that I did, as opposed to someone else? Like, how does all this work? I think would be my question.
That was basically the same exact thing as I would ask as well. Yeah.
Well, I'm gonna go back to I'll go back to me, because again, my question, I think, was off the cuff, but it was genuine, my answer. But I think what I would ask him is, were our lives predetermined? Have you guys heard that before? In other words, your story is already mapped out for you. I think that would be the question that I would want to know. I used to think that, you know, our lives were predetermined and we're kind of playing this role that was predestined. But I feel like I have too much power to. Now, I can feel, and I've experienced and I've demonstrated my own power, my free will, so to speak. I've done some things that I know was not in the cards. Mm-hmm. I'm like, okay, I know God didn't want me to do that. I wanted to do that. So I just feel like I used to, maybe I entertained that thought for a while, that our lives were predestined, but I feel like something about that doesn't feel right to me, because I've actually tapped into my free will and my power. And I feel like like there's factors outside of me. Yes. But for the most part, I do have a very, very large amount of control over what goes on in my life, with the exception of involuntary functions of the body. You know what I mean? Like, I can't beat my own heart. I can't flow my own blood. I can't do those. I can't heal myself. I mean, the body heals itself. I can assist it with the healing of itself, but it's already doing that. I have no control over that. But there are certain factors that I know, certain actions and mindsets that I know that I have a tremendous amount of power, and I know that God doesn't have anything to do with it. Okay. Yeah. What I noticed is that out of 6 of us here that answered that question, not one of us answered it from a really a philosophical approach. And a philosophical approach would be that there is no God. I mean, think about it. Think of philosophers. I mean, you get somebody like Stefan, who realistically doesn't. The whole point of philosophy is to question that and find out the truth. In other words, any type of Christianity or believing God is 100% faith. So obviously there's 6 people here that have faith or some faith. If you didn't have faith, you couldn't even answer that question. Am I correct?
That's true. And I also
Oh,
think
right.
some faith is driven by fear. So some of the quote faith that people have is not even real anyway. It's just driven by a fear-based theology. Or, religion scares you into believing this. So that faith is not real. So I would say that, yes, I'm completely open to the possibility of God. And I feel like at some point I've experienced God. And even that sometimes I felt like I am God through this form. Like in Tony Bruno is God doing the Tony Bruno thing, and the Mandadote thing, that's God. And even sometimes females are an extension of God, but doing it through the female form. So I sometimes even open to that theory.
Well, man does kind of look like Jesus a little bit, and
hey, some women look like dudes.
Yeah. Man looks like Jesus here. So he's and you've told me, man, that you've had people say that to you, correct?
Yeah, I had two people say that to me at the same location that had no connection with each other. It was funny. I mean, it was back to back. I walked in the store. Hey, does anybody tell you look like Jesus? And I walked out the store right at the gas pump. Hey, does anybody ever tell you look like Jesus?
That's amazing.
I was like, that's funny.
And you know what it is too? It's not just his beard, but it's actually his eyes. He actually has kind eyes, man.
Yeah.
No. So it's not really the beard. People are saying the beard because it is Jesus-like, but to me, I see it in the eyes.
He's got bright blue eyes. That I know.
Yeah. Cool. Thank you.
Did you bless them? Please tell me you blessed them on the way out.
No, they were already blessed.
Okay.
You didn't take your bottle and splash some holy water on them?
No. That's all foolish traditions. I don't partake.
Go ahead, JC.
I would kind of like to explore that a little bit further, because when you asked me that from the beginning, I was coming at it from a point where, if like my response was like literal to the question that was asked.
Okay. So you want to approach it from a basically a philosophical angle now.
Well, yeah, I mean, slightly from like a philosophical angle, or even just, let's use, some empirical evidence, that we have. And I think it comes down to the differences between, faith and religion. And I think that that's an interesting conversation to have, because, religion is something that we all experience. That's the one common singularity amongst, our entire species, is that we do have the ability to believe or worship in a, like a superhuman controlling power, right? It doesn't necessarily have to be the same God. It just means that we have that innate ability to find meaning in a metaphysical place. But the difference between faith is, what is it specifically that you believe, So I think it's the faith that differentiates us between whether we're Christian, whether, like whatever our belief system is. And that's the difference between, at the end of the day, if we end up at the pearly gates, and if I believed in the wrong God or chose to follow the wrong God, what happens to me? I still did have that same practice. Like, I still did follow the same rituals, but it's just that I just happened to pick the wrong God. So that's where, to me, I kind of go down that rabbit hole sometimes, that I do see the singular commonality. The singular commonality between us all is that we do have that innate desire to find a higher purpose or meaning. It's just that we tend to disagree upon it, So why is it that we have that? Why is it that we have that search? Why is it that we have that higher need to believe in something to keep us moving forward? And it kind of comes back to our biological imperatives that we have, and the biological imperatives are the needs of living organisms required to perpetuate their existence. And there's a certain hierarchy within that. You have survival, territorialism, competition, reproduction, quality of life seeking, and group forming. So it's almost like a hierarchy of needs. And within that, as you kind of move up, and faith isn't really required in terms of like your base survival, right? Or your territorialism when you're trying to, acquire resources, or when you're competing for it, or even when it comes to reproduction. It's not till later in the imperative that you require some kind of belief system when it comes down to, group forming. Once you get into that group forming aspect of the imperative, when you have multiple people, it took a belief system to be able to create that tribalism, to have like a commonality or a singularity between clans and tribes, right? So to me, from an evolutionary perspective, it just makes sense to me that the idea or the whole idea with faith is it just comes out of a survival requirement. Like, we need to have that in order for us to survive. I don't necessarily mean that there is a God. It's just that we search for a higher purpose because we know that we're born into this life and that we're going to die. And we know that throughout the entire journey that we're on. And we understand that, we struggle, we see suffering, we feel pain, and we ask the question, what's the purpose? What's the point? Why are we doing this for? Why am I enduring this willingly every day when I have the option to turn off the switch if I wanted to? And it's that innate desire to perpetuate our survival, right? To spread our genes. So I'm not sure, like, I kind of said a whole lot of words there and I probably didn't articulate that quite well, but
you're doing it really well, because what you're bringing up, what I'm thinking of is when you're saying that is, okay, what it made me think is like, we're here on this earth right now and we're living this life. So religion and faith, is it the end goal? Again, I'm all about the end goal. I don't care if it's a, like Coach EO, he has an end goal for his guys, is to create a better man or a better woman, because he coaches women too. So I'm all about end goals. And to me, I think what it is that people don't want to think that there's nothing left after this life, like it's going to go black. And that's one of the questions I've always had. But I think faith to me, I wish we had Gonzo here, our fact checker. I think he's fact checked this word before, which is faith. I think faith to me is believing in something that you can't see. That's faith.
Yeah, I just Google it real quick. So it's the complete trust or confidence in someone or something.
Yeah,
would be the definition of faith.
Yeah. So,
what's interesting is, it was one thing I push. I'm a huge advocate of, is having faith in yourself. That's not to say don't have faith in God. Okay. And people say, oh my goodness, he must not believe in God. He must be an atheist. He talks about, believing in himself and having faith in himself. But it's like everyone wants to put this power onto something higher, but do you realize how much power you have right now?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's like, I think the ultimate faith is realizing your own personal power and living this existence, this form right here. Hey, I sometimes feel like I've done this a few times already. Like, I was probably a black man in the 40s or something, because I have some soul to me, so I feel like I've been doing this for a while. Okay. Now maybe I didn't, but sometimes I feel like I've done this before. Like, something feels familiar. Something feels too comfortable. Like, I've done this already. So I would urge each person listening to discover your own self-belief and your own possibilities and create a life for yourself as a man or a woman, whoever you are. And don't overthink this thing, because honestly, you'll end up in the nut house if you overthink this thing. And even there were times I overthought religion and spirituality and purpose and existence. And I found myself almost worse off than when I questioned it. So there is a healthy balance to questioning things. But I've found personally that the more emphasis I put into becoming the greatest version of this form that I am right now, the happier, the more beneficial I am to myself and society.
Hey, Coach EO, many of y'all, that's cool. Many of y'all might not know this about me, but I was raised Pentecostal. I don't know if y'all know what that is.
Yeah, I definitely know. They used to knock at my door all the time, and we used to say, no one's home.
That's right. It's pretty extreme. So I broke away from that probably when I was about I mean, probably 21, really, to be honest. I didn't fully break away till I was probably 25, 26. But now at 33, as I've matured, as I turned away, I like to say, from my mama's religion, right? Religion, I found God through masculinity, through being a man.
Yeah.
I found God through being a man, if that makes any sense.
And women will find it, and women will find it through femininity.
Okay. Okay.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah. And I feel like we as men are an extension of our spiritual father, an extension of God. We are in his image. We are the likeness of God. So why, if I deny that, I'm denying myself as a man. And that's what turned me back to my spirituality. And I also too wanted to bring up a point. We talk about, does God exist, the kind of philosophical approach. Maybe as a society, we've decided that the belief in God is more beneficial to us than the lack thereof. Maybe that's something we can play around with. Has a society, have we decided that we're better off with or without God? And I would think many would agree that we've agreed that we're better with an idea of God. Whether he truly exists or not, we can play with that idea.
I completely agree with that 100%. And that kind of goes back to the idea of, faith versus religion. Like, I think even though I kind of question my faith sometimes, it doesn't mean that I don't believe in a higher power. It's just understanding what that belief is. I think it's the unknowing, So when I have the opportunity to ask, it's like, well, what's the purpose? What's the point? Like, where did you come from? Who are you? Like, to try to fill all of those gaps in between, all of the questions that I have, that I burden myself with sometimes. But I do agree with Gene that I think, we have evolved to a point that where we recognize we're better off believing in something because it gives us a higher power, a higher purpose, and gives us an end goal. So it's much easier to, face that adversity when you have something, you have some kind of belief system, as opposed to not having any belief system and just feeling lost. Right. And I think that's why we see, higher rates of anxiety and depression in modern times, is because people are losing that connection with, thinking of a higher power, and they just become self-absorbed within themselves.
Yeah, that's a great point. And let me just say one last thing about that. I've met people that didn't force a belief on themselves. They didn't force it. They're like, because I think a lot of this time when I heard that, I instantly thought that could be that decision to reach to something higher than the self could be made out of fear. Whereas if you make it out of love, it's a different energy. So you could make that same decision, like, I got to think something higher, because if not, I'm going to self-destruct and I'm going to cause chaos to myself and others. Like, I think that's why a lot of people do reach out to God. But if you can calm thyself and realize how powerful you really are and use it wisely, then you come to God like a partner. Like, let's partner up on this thing. You do your part and I'll do mine in this form. In this form, I'll do mine. And I'll do it out of love, and I'll do it out of inspiration, not desperation. Because sometimes you can reach out to God desperately, which is in a lot of ways fear-based. But if you do it love-based and inspiration-based, there's a different energy behind that decision.
I just want to say, I think godliness is not fear-based, but I think religion is fear-based. And that's my issue with religion. I have no issue with God and godliness, but I do have some issues and a few bones to pick with religion, because I do believe it's fear-based.
Dude, I like the way you put that, man, because there's a lot of truth to that. I love the way you said that. I'm going to ask John Boston. You're Italian and you're from Massachusetts. We know Anthony is a devout Catholic. Are you Catholic, John Boston?
Yeah, I am, and it's I'm listening to the conversations, and I grew up in a home where there were pictures of several popes, and where my family is from in Italy, it's only a couple hour and a half from Rome, so I was kind of used to the whole Roman Catholic, kind of thing, and went to the you know, I've been to the Vatican several times, visited all the tombs of the popes downstairs, and you know, one of the things that I saw in Massachusetts when we had there was the things with the priests abusing the children, and some of those things that went on, and then there were these lawsuits, and the archdiocese ended up selling property. I think what was tough with people with religion, growing up in a Catholic environment, and then seeing the church that you grew up in being sold, and then it was demolished, and then they built, you know, properties on it. And this happened in several different places. And some people said, oh, what's happening with the church, with the abuse, I'm never going to go back to church again. And, you know, my ex was like that. And I said, you didn't grow up in an environment. It's about, you know, it's about religion and seeing what the religion is about. These people have nothing to do, even though they're priests, they don't have anything to do with the religion and the Bible. So why are you upset about it? And maybe they couldn't, I'm kind of a loss of words, but maybe they couldn't have, there's something struggling within themselves that they couldn't see past the social issues of what goes on in our environment, and that they can't look back at the roots of the religion of what the Catholic religion actually was. So
you can't do it. I think once people see it's been corrupted or compromised or perverted, they'll never see it the same anymore.
Yeah. And I could see that, but when I think of like the reasons of, you know, you look at the Bible, you read the Bible, you have a different view of it. But I was going to mention something about women in a proverb that I read. It's amazing how many things in our lives come from the Bible. Like I was reading something that said, a smart woman will make a home, a foolish woman will destroy it with her own hands. And it's one of the proverbs that I just was reading a while back. Somebody had brought that up and I just was reading it. And it's so true. Some of the things that we see, it's all in there. Mm-hmm. But I think we have to have some grounding. And if there's social things that happen in our world, and we can choose the free will to accept that, or we can kind of shut it off and believe what we want to believe. But it's interesting. It's a good thought topic.
Yeah, I mean, I live right next to, you can see right from where I'm sitting right now, you can actually see a massive Catholic church. Is the priest live, the rectory is at the end of my street.
What about that bell, Tony? Like that
yeah,
bell.
Well,
yeah, I heard the bell,
yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you know, so the only issue, and I don't want to upset my two Catholics here, is that I've never understood the praying to saints or Mother Mary. I've just never understood that. And now I was baptized Catholic. You know, we're Italian, so Anthony, I want you to retort on that.
Well, as far as the bad things that have gone on in the church, you know, the Bible says the wheat will grow with the tares, and at the end they'll separate it. They're going to grow together. So that was predicted all throughout the Bible, and so that's one thing. As far as praying to saints and who else did you say, Tony?
Mary.
And Mary. Well, yeah, I understand. And but you know, do you pray to the dead or do you pray to the living? They're alive. That's why they can hear you. They could pray to you. I mean, you could pray to them. I mean, I know. As far as Pentecostal, they don't believe that. But the truth is, I mean, these are actually, if you believe in the afterlife, somebody, you know, these people are alive. They're not dead, and they have their senses, and some of them have greater abilities than we as normal, you know, as regular humans do, because they passed over. And you can pray to them, and they would hear you. I mean, a priest could probably tell you better than I can, but that's basically the gist of it. And if they can't hear you, then we're screwed, man. We're screwed. If they don't have those abilities, they're dead. If they're dead, we're all dead, man.
They did.
You know, we're all dead.
She did.
But the whole thing is about praying to somebody. In other words,
Other than God, you mean?
yeah, other than God, Jesus, the Trinity. You know,
Yeah, it's, you know, well, you know, as far as the Catholic religion, I mean, it's a lot more tradition than just strictly the Bible that you know the Bible that we have, and so that's kind of where Catholics and other Christian religions would diverge, and if you know if you read some of the history about what happened in the first 200, 300, 400 years, there's a lot of stuff that's there that's not in the Bible. It's just but people recorded it. It happened just like we know about Julius Caesar and Genghis Khan and all that. And it's not the stuff that didn't happen. It happened. It's just not in the Bible, but it's history, and these things happen. And a lot of things that I mean, I'm just saying, just strictly from being Catholic, right? But
I mean, Anthony, do you remember when Paul was on here and he talked about the Bible? That what he had said was that the Bible isn't actually literal. And I don't know what you guys feel about this, but what he had said, Paul's a young, smart dude. Maybe he'll jump on the live stream tonight. Maybe he's watching right now. But he had said that the Bible is really like metaphors. Like there was no great flood. There was no ark. Those are metaphors.
Well,
yeah. Paul also said that Jesus was more of a concept. So, I just think that if Paul goes to mass and he says the creed believe the creed. At least Paul just believed the creed. If you can go with the creed, then you can start to become a priest. If you can't even do that, dude, I don't know, go do something else. I mean, there's a lot of options, man. We don't need priests that don't believe in the basics of the. That's just we say. When we go to mass, we say it every time. We say the Apostles' Creed or the Nicene Creed. If you can't believe in that, then that's just it's just like belonging to the manosphere or the red pill community. I mean, if you believe all the lies that we've been told for the last whatever years about what a good man is, and we know that's not true now, well, you can't be a part of this community, dude. If you believe that we're lucky to have her and all that other crap, well, you can't be part of this community. Same thing with it's real simple to be a Catholic. You believe it or you don't. It's not that hard. It's like, just go to mass, whatever they tell you. I mean, they can explain it. If you don't believe it, go somewhere else, dude. It's cool. It's not a problem. Pretty simple.
Hey guys, I'm going to jump in real quick there. I have to take off. I have some other engagements here I need to deal with, but it was great chatting with you guys tonight, and talk with you later.
JC, man, I appreciate you, man. You got great input.
Oh, thank you guys. I appreciate everything and all the feedback as well.
Thank you.
Very, very intelligent and very focused on what you say, and I like that a lot. So.
Yeah. Good. Nice talking with you, JC.
Yeah, you guys have a great night and happy New Year.
Okay.
See you, JC, next time.
Yeah, see you guys.
I'm going to bring on Drew. I think Drew's been on here before. I think it's a while ago. Yeah. Drew.
Hey, good evening.
How you doing? Have you been on here before?
I haven't been on the live broadcast. I'm one of the moderators, though, usually on some of the YouTube live streams.
Okay, on my brother's?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Right on. I saw Scott was backstage, and Scott is you guys remember Scott from Canada? Yeah. Scott SWB, remember Scott? Anybody? No?
Rings a bell.
Yeah, okay. But so Drew, how you doing, man?
I'm doing all right. I'm actually 2 days out of getting out of COVID's grasp, so I'm feeling pretty good.
Oh wow, okay.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. Yeah, tell us about it. Because I know man, I think you're going through it right now, correct?
Yeah.
Your girlfriend had tested positive?
Yeah. I only issue with me, I had body aches for one day, and then the main thing with me is I can't taste or smell that great right now.
Okay.
Oh.
Okay.
So that's my only issue.
You know what, you guys, I'm going to tell you something. I know people really focus on that, but when you have the flu, you can't taste or smell.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Saying, you know, not to say that your tests weren't, and I know, you know, Gene, you didn't get tested. Right?
No.
But your
not
girlfriend
one.
tested positive.
Yeah.
You know, but Drew, you got tested positive.
Yeah, I started feeling bad around December 19th. And 2 days later, took the test, got the test results back in about 24 hours positive. And I mean, it put me down for, I mean, I had a fever for almost 9 days straight.
Wow.
Couldn't shake it. And there's some interesting things out there about.
Where do you live, Drew?
Yeah. What?
Where do you live?
Wisconsin.
Wisconsin. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. But yeah, it was pretty rough. I couldn't really describe it any different though than it was just like having an extended flu, you know, just having the flu for a long time.
Okay.
But it just, that's the worst part of it was I'd say the amount of time it took, and it just seemed like, and I even had one day where I thought I'm done, felt great. And then the next day it was just like, that never happened. It put me down again for several days.
Okay. Wow. All right. So has anybody else experienced besides, like, again, like I know me and Coach, we had talked, it was, for me, it was like early February, late January. And
Yeah, last year.
Like,
I got something last year.
One of my, so we got three of us here that had it or whatever last year. I don't know. You know, again, for me, it was a customer who was actually sick. And it's funny because we call her Patient Zero. That's kind of our nickname. But what happened with me is I actually took Zyrtec. You guys know what Zyrtec is?
Yeah, antihistamine, yeah.
Never took it before. Within 4 hours, I was fine.
Yeah, it's the histamine response.
Within 4 hours, I was fine. I
That's
gave
awesome.
it to somebody who works with me. He was fine too. So it's like, all right, we're going to stop at the drugstore on the way home and get more Zyrtec because that seemed to work. It was almost instant. So
That's great.
Yeah. So
That's great.
So I don't know, you know, if I had it or I don't know. I probably would nener get a test, only because, you know, since I talked to my brother, I think they're screwing in a tracking device and unscrewing it out of your nose. So
They definitely get it far enough in there. That's possible.
Yeah.
You know, it's interesting because some people have a higher tolerance to pain or whatever, but I've seen it kick people's ass. But me, I don't know. It didn't affect me that much. I'm just pissed because I can't really taste. I love cigars. I love coffee, and I could barely enjoy them. I haven't smoked a cigar in 4 or 5 days just because it'd be a waste of money. Because
I had my first coffee 2 days. I didn't have coffee. I just had it like 2 days ago. Best thing ever.
Oh, you finally got your taste back.
Well, you know, I didn't, like Tony said, I kind of feel the same way. It's like, you know, you don't taste or smell when you have the flu. So I didn't have anything out of the ordinary, like, oh, that's it. That's the symptoms, you know, you hear about. You can't I mean, it's like, well, you know, I'm all congested anyway. I'm not going to taste or smell anything. So, you know.
Yeah.
I mean, I remember growing up and you'd have the flu and you're sick and your mom would make you like a soup or something. And you even didn't want to eat it because you couldn't really taste it all that well.
You couldn't enjoy it.
Yeah.
That's where I'm at.
You could,
and I think sometimes you play the role of being sick sometimes too. You'll be like, you now that you know you're sick, you'll actually not only feel sick, but you'll mimic. You'll even lose an appetite mentally. Like you'll lose your appetite because of you're sick. But like some people that they force themselves to eat despite that, they get better faster. So it's, I think sometimes you settle into the role of being sick because a lot of the attention you get to when you're younger, you get attention because you're sick. So it's like some people want to be sick because then they get attention. But
I do know 2 people who got sick from COVID. A friend of my brother-in-law, he ended up at Mass General for about 90 days, and he was put on a ventilator. Probably didn't need it, but they put him on a ventilator, and then he had to go to rehab for another 40 days after that. And then I had a buddy of mine from high school Same thing. Mass General went in there, developed blood clots all over the place. It messed up his kidneys, messed up his circulation, and he lost his leg. One of his legs, they had to amputate it from all the blood clots. I think he had underlying conditions. He was really heavy, and I just think his body couldn't handle the blood clots, and it caused a lot of problems. And when you got those clots ping-ponging all over your body, it's not a good thing.
Yeah.
I'm going to bring in Mitch real quick. So, Mitch, if you hear me, go ahead and say something. Oh, he's gone. Okay. Well, maybe I scared him away.
The other thing that made a huge difference, and I'm sure it's different for everybody, but getting off your ass and walking around a little bit.
Yes.
And walking around. You stay seated, you stay feeling shitty.
That's right.
Drew, I want to ask you a question, man, about you were watching a little bit, so we were talking about like faith. What was were you watching during that segment here 15, 20 minutes ago?
No, I just jumped on now. I'm sorry.
Okay. Yeah, I just got a text message from Steve the Dean. I think he's going to jump in here shortly. But we were talking about faith. So give us your coach. Ask Drew the question that you have.
All right, Drew. So a couple of weeks ago, I was driving in the car with my girl, and she said, hey, I got a question for you. And I said, because we talk about a lot of stuff, and sometimes it's spiritual, sometimes it's about business. And I mean, we talk about a lot of different things, and that's what couples should talk about, a lot of different things. So she asked me, she said, what would be your first question to God, upon meeting him? And so I answered that earlier about what it would be. And so I guess that's what we're asking you. Now, if you don't have a question for him, that's fine too. So we're not going to force you to answer this. But if something does come to mind, or there was an inquiry that maybe you've thought about for quite some time, like what would be the first question you would ask him upon meeting him?
Wow. I don't know. Maybe it's self-serving, but maybe it'd be, where do we go?
Okay. Hey, it's all right. Yeah. Good. Yeah.
Tony said, do I get in? That was the same thing Tony asked. Or Tony said, yeah.
I said, I know. I didn't listen. I'm sorry.
Hey, maybe this question tonight will reintroduce some thoughts and perhaps some I don't know, something you can bridge off of this this dialogue that we had tonight. So
have you fellas found yourselves talking about God in 2020, towards the end of 2020, a lot more than you ever have?
Yes. I was going to a church in a town that I lived in when my family was together, and I was friends with the priest there. And then when they closed all the churches, he was one of the first ones that started doing live streams. And I've been following him every single week since the church shut down, I don't know, sometime in March. So I think it's been more, there's been more of a constant religion in my life. And it's funny, on Sundays I wake up and I do wake up and I say, let me listen to Charles Stanley this morning. And then I'll listen to the church in my town. I have been listening to, I listen to Joel Osteen in the car just to hear him. I don't follow his, but I just like hearing the messages at times. But yes, I definitely have had more religion this year.
Hey, Charles Stanley is that dude, man. I used to listen. I respect Charles Stanley's ministry a lot. That's a hardcore motherfucker right there. I like Charles Stanley. Yes, I do. What's up, Steve?
Shit, yeah, we gotta welcome Steve the Dean Williams.
Yo, what's up, man? Yeah. Happy New Year to y'all, man. What's good with y'all?
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
How y'all doing, man?
You've been a busy man, huh, Steve?
All day, every day, brother. All day, every day, man. Yeah, very busy, man. Very, very, very.
We got freelance Ronan in the house. I see him everywhere, man. Awesome, man. Fantastic. Right on.
Yeah, he's always on it. Yeah, so how y'all doing, man? What's the topic of discussion?
Oh, geez, we've gotten some deep stuff. So I'm gonna have Coach EO ask you the question.
Okay.
Yeah, you know what, Steve? So check this out, brother. So we were talking about a little bit about spirituality about an hour, for about a good hour, hour and a half.
Mm-hmm.
And recently, SNO, you're familiar with SNO. So we were in the car, and she just said, "Hey, I got a question for you." And I said, or she said, "May I ask you a question?" Because that's like I got my women trained. Like that. She said, "May I ask you a question?" It is no joke. Yeah. And so I said, "Yes, you may." And she said, what would be the first question you're gonna ask God when you see him? And so she asked me that question, and I answered it. And so everyone on the panel has answered it. So, what would be the first question you would ask him?
Well, I'm more agnostic. I'm more agnostic. Excuse me. Yeah. So I respect everybody's thought of how they feel, but I can't even answer that question, brother. I can't even answer that question. So, but it's a great question to ask. But no, there's nothing I can add. I don't even have an answer for that question, brother.
Yeah, that's cool. See, and that's a response I appreciate, because he's being authentic. We always speak on being authentic and being yourself. So it's not like he tried to produce some question, or some answer just to fit in or to go along. But he just said, "Hey, but I ain't got an answer. I don't have an answer."
Yeah, I respect everybody. I respect everybody's opinion and how they feel. And one thing I won't do is push my thoughts or beliefs or anything. I just honor what men think. If you feel the way you feel, I can respect it. I'm not going to challenge it or anything. But for me, I wouldn't have anything to say.
Okay, that's good, because you know what? That was kind of one of the things I said when that question was asked, is that nobody gave the answer that Steve just gave.
That's right.
Yeah,
that's right.
I mean, think about it. I didn't hear Drew's answer though.
Oh, I asked where do we go?
Yeah. Maybe Steve's response is the best response.
Well, no, it's not the best response. It's just honest. I don't knock anybody what they think. Again, one thing I try to stay away from is political and religious type conversations, because people don't want to hear what I think. And again, I don't judge anybody or anything like that. But I mean, that's like asking me what would I say to Santa Claus, to me, in my opinion. No offense, but the way I've been taught is if you haven't been there, you don't know. And again, if I respect everybody on the panel, if y'all feel that way, I can only respect it. But no, that's not me. That's not my feel. So I will listen and openly listen to discussion and how you feel, but I would never push my beliefs as far as political or religion on anybody. I just sit and listen and be respectful of everybody's thoughts, man.
Yeah.
I definitely asked Santa Claus for something. Come on.
Yeah. Steve, what I was saying earlier, because there's so many religions, there's Jewish, there's Christianity, there's Muslim, there's Hindu, there's Mormon, there's Buddhist. Somebody's wrong.
Well, here's the funny thing that I've learned at a very young age, Okay, the thing is that, okay, there's God. They all believe in God, right? Why do you need to go through a religion to go straight to God? Why do you need to go to, like you're saying, Tony, you have, see, what I've noticed is self-importance and ego. Okay, somebody somewhere, sometime realized that, okay, you have a straight line to worship God. If you want to worship God, I'm all for you. Worship your God, right? But I really feel like somewhere along the line, someone's ego came along and said, you know what? You got to worship me before you can worship God. You got to, I am the one that dictates whether you get to talk to God or not. And I believe if you really want to talk to God, you can pray to God straight through. You don't need a religion to talk or to have a religion affiliation to go one-on-one with the big man. I believe that it should be a straight shot. I mean, it's just my opinion.
I am right there with you, Steve, on that. I am 100% on with you. And everybody knows, in fact, man, I don't know if John knows this. I know Anthony knows this, but I'm not a big fan of the word religion.
Right.
Religion really irritates me. I believe exactly what you said. My relationship with my God is between me and him. There is no middleman to get me there.
Right. Well, that's what I feel like with a middle. I think that's the problem. I think we're too busy worshiping a religion versus worshiping the God that you should be worshiping. And whether it's Buddha, whatever your God is to you, that should be your God. And for me as a man, who am I to challenge what you feel? I'm not here to change what you feel. If you think what you think, as a man, I just respect it. I'm not going to argue it, debate it. As a man, I stay in my lane. I've always told you, and y'all guys, y'all know me. I just stay in my lane, and I'm open to listen, but I have my own thoughts, but I just don't discuss it. But I'm open to listen, though.
But you were a preacher in another life.
No, I was an asshole in another life.
I don't know about all that, Steve. You got a preacher voice, and I grew up in church my whole life. I got to say.
Thank you. I appreciate that. No, man, I'm just – I respect you guys. I think what y'all believe in, I can respect. I will never disrespect you by saying what you think is wrong. Because as men, I've always pushed it. What you think is what you think. And I can only accept it or have a problem with it. But I accept you guys for what you are. I don't accept you anything else. You are all men. You know what you love. You know who you worship. And I just listen. This is not my field. I'm more into the women thing. The religious thing, I'm ignorant, so I stay back and listen. That's
Hey,
what
Steve. Hey, Steve, and we say this on our show every Monday night. Half of the things that people think weren't even their thought to begin with.
Yeah.
That was something you heard or read, and that was something passed down to your father from his father, and from his father to his father, and from it, and it goes all the way back to the Jesus days. So I would say this: more than half of your thoughts are not even your thoughts.
Yeah. But that's why I'm glad I have my thoughts. But I respect you men for having your thoughts, and I respect you men for feeling the way you do. The only way I wouldn't respect you if you don't own it and back what you say. If you feel something or you feel a religion, I expect you to back up and defend your position. Never change your position for someone, and y'all don't do that, and that's why I respect you men.
You know what? I want to ask Gene a question, Mantidote. Gene, you've been watching Steve for a long time, correct?
Yes.
So this is your first interaction. So I want to let you throw down some questions to Steve.
What I loved, I'll speak about what I loved about Steve. He says two things and he hits on it all the time. Your last name, who you are as a man, your last name, and standards.
Yes.
The code that you live by as a man. And that's universal. And I love that about how Steve hits on with that all the time. And that was something that when I would listen to Steve that I would just absorb a lot of is the code of yourself as a man. And it's about you.
Yes.
And that's all I can say. And Steve played a big part in it. Yeah,
I appreciate it. I mean, I've been doing this for over 30 years, but I'm not the first. I'm not the beginning. I'm not the end. I'm just here to tell guys that, you are so important to you that you got to learn it. And so many men, I mean, we're in a time now, again, all this theory and all this, trying to just defile men, declaw them and defang them. It's sad. And this is why you men are here. The reason why you men are here is because we need men like you. All of you that's on this panel. They need all of you because without you, these young men are still going to be lost in the forest, listening to a bunch of nonsense about complaining and whining about women and life.
Yeah, what's funny is I sent Steve, I think it was a message the day just out of the blue, like yesterday or the day before, and it just said, I love you guys' show with Coach EO.
Yes.
It's one of the only few that I listen to. It's one of the only few that I listen to.
Thank you.
Because to me, it's like there's so many things I think Steve and Coach EO, you guys especially get together. You guys really align well, but you also have your own beliefs. I see that also.
Yes.
But the whole thing about one of the best things you say to me, and I absolutely love it, and I would love for you to say it right now, is why do you make it about the fucking woman?
Because that's not...
It has nothing to do with the woman.
Yeah, well,
that is so important to me. I grew up with that. I'm like, it's always about me.
It's always.
You know. You want me to start? I'll start, Steve, with that.
I go behind you, brother.
All right, and because this is my viewpoint. I've had enough experience with women, and I've had enough exposure to women. I and enough conversations with women, enough observations of women to know that women are goofy as fuck. They're just goofy, and they need to be led by a strong man. They do. They fly by the seat of their pants. They change their mind like the wind blows. And a woman, I said this on Monday Night Show, and Steve co-signs it, and Steve believes this and teaches this as well. A man must create the woman he wants. She is not walking in knowing how to treat you. She doesn't have any standards, in my view. I mean, just because you know how to go to a job and clock in, and you know how to feed yourself, and you know how to clothe yourself, doesn't mean you know how to be a quality woman. Within the confines of a relationship.
Yes.
So again, you can be an asset to a company and society, and you can get a degree, and you can put that motherfucker on the wall, and you can do all that shit. But within the confines of a relationship, a bitch ain't shit. A woman, she ain't shit. So, which is why I say it begins and ends with the man. So the man must have a steady foundation. He must be a rock. He must be unwavering. And like Steve says, on his square. So without the square, you're nothing. Yes. Without the square, you're going to fall. You'll fall to depression, anxiety. Women will walk all over you. Your family will walk all over you. Men will walk all over you. You'll lose every job you get if you're not on your square. You must be on the square. And then that's the only way a woman will respect a man is if you have first led yourself to excellence, like George Bruno says, or George Bruno says, and then you lead the woman to excellence as a byproduct of being with you.
Absolutely.
I want to ask Steve a question. Steve,
Yes.
Why is it okay? I'm trying to think who I asked this. Oh, Coach Greg. Everybody has those friends to where they have to have that girl or girlfriend all the time. They go from woman to woman. It doesn't matter. They go 2 weeks, and it doesn't matter that the woman, as long as it's a woman, they got to bring them into their life. Why is it that men have to have a woman to make them feel like a man?
The problem is, who says they're a man? See, that's the problem. A lot of people think that just because you have the body parts of a man or you're mature and you look like a man doesn't mean you are a man. And see, the problem with a lot of young men, and I kind of want to go off of what EO was saying as well. He's 1,000,000% right. The problem is that before you even want to even have a thought about a woman, you got to know yourself, man. And I'm sorry, I got to keep bringing it back to you. Me, my, I. I need to know me. But the problem we're having, Tony, is that we are the Justice League going against a legion of doom that is on the internet that are really doing more harm to these young boys because they're not teaching manhood. They're not teaching accountability. They're not teaching your name. They're not teaching laws, rules, codes, standards, mission statements, legacy statements, all these things, vision statements. They're not doing this. So what they're doing is saying that it's not your fault. It's the woman's fault. And I always ask people, tell me one thing a woman can do to you. What can a woman do to a man that he doesn't allow her to do? See, we're so busy looking at the end result or the last domino. I've been taught to look at the first domino. I don't care about what happened at the end game. I know somewhere along the line, she knew your pussy was tighter than hers. Somewhere along the line, she knew she could disrespect you. Somewhere back in the beginning, she knew she could get away with things, and you allowed her to get away with it. But now you want to blame her for everything. So when you have these guys going from woman to woman, see, I'm a whore. I'm sorry, I'm a whore. I don't mind a guy going from woman to woman if he knows who he is. But if he's going from woman to woman for validation to make him feel like a man, then he's doing that's emotional. That's feminine. Women go from guy to guy to feel good. They go from dress to dress, purse to purse, shoe to shoe to feel good about themselves because they have an insecurity. These men are just as insecure as women because a lot of them are emotional like women, and they don't want to admit that. And that's the problem, Tony.
You know,
That's really good. Yeah.
It's you know what, Coach EO, you were talking when we were saying earlier about you know, oh, you know, where's the damn money? Where are the women at? But how many times have you felt like I was talking to Anthony, I was talking to Steve calls him A1.
A1.
He's like, oh yeah, he said we were talking this week, and it's like, oh, it's nice actually being able to kick your feet back, and you know what I mean. Sometimes it's okay. In other words, for me sitting here in my 3-bedroom house by myself, I am so fucking content. I can't tell you, and I know that bothers people. I know Coach EO. I'm sure you spent the same time. You're content with yourself.
Some people might say like, hey, these guys don't get pussy. Look at them on a Saturday night, joining each other for a conversation among men. But I'll tell you this right now. Do you know how many Saturday nights I fucked 4 or 5 chicks within a 24-hour span? I mean, like, to me, it's like I would rather enjoy this than to be chasing a woman, entertaining a woman, or kissing her fucking ass, or any of that. Like, I mean, I don't do that shit anyway, but I'm saying the thought of being out there chasing, kissing ass, groveling for pussy, lowering my standards and losing my balls for a bitch. I mean, I might as well just call it if that's going to be my lifestyle. So, and I tell Steve this all the time. I'd rather go to the shrimp house.
Yeah, that's true.
And get me a jumbo shrimp combo with fries. Give me some of that bread and give me that mild sauce, and I'm gonna go home and chill than to be fucking around with some goofy ass women, man. So that's what I teach guys to have, and that's what Steve has been teaching guys for 30 plus years, along with the Rosebuds and others, George Bruno, the Tony Bruno show. Now is like we're teaching men, hey, who are you without women? There's a time for women. Don't get me wrong. There, as long as you're leading that process, as long as they are coming to you on some respect.
Yeah,
and,
I just want to say, no, I'm sorry. It's just low. I tell guys all the time, it's like the guy that wants to be a rapper or a box office hit, and he gets it, and then he's like, I just can't get out, and I can't go to the mall anymore. I don't have my life. and I tell guys all the time that being alone, I always call it a dick resting day. When you turn off your phone, unplug things, turn on the lights, and you grab a bag of vegetables, you put it under your nuts, and you just sit back and chill. You want your alone time. You miss it because it's always a constant. What are you doing? Can I call you? Why aren't you talking to me? Are you mad at me? Can I come over? What did I do wrong? And people don't understand. You're going to want your alone time. Everybody thinks that what we're doing now might be crazy, but this is the best thing in the world because it's me time, but me time with men. It's me time being able to chill with guys. The women, look, I know all you guys can, when we hit this button to turn this off, you can just press a button and say, come over. Or not only that, they want to come over because they're probably watching you right now, waiting to say, "Will these motherfuckers hurry up so I come over and get on that dick?" And that's what I'm saying. That's the beauty of being a man.
and even me, I can speak for myself, and I know my dude Steve and Tony and the other guys may have experienced this too. But you could have too much of a good thing. Shit, how many blowjobs can I have? I mean, how many back massages? How much respect can you give me, bitch? Like. I mean, I'm over here now because I require respect. I require my blowjobs to be a certain way. I require you to look at me a certain way. I require you to talk. When I call or you call me, if I don't like your tone of voice, you don't talk to me. Like, I require respect from everybody, men too, but women is especially women. But I mean, even you'll get to the point where you do have those standards and principles, and you stand on your square. That women will have no choice but to rise to a level that they're not used to just to even have your time.
Yes.
So if you don't believe this, then you haven't lived it then. I would tell people, if you don't believe that you could be treated like a king then you must not live like a king.
This is great because I had a buddy, because I told him I doing my live streams on Saturday nights, and it's probably been about 2 months since I've been doing this, and one of his responses was, what about your Saturday night date night with your women? And I'm like, that never even was a thought in my mind. In other words, I can get that when I want it, when I want it. This is more important to me. It wasn't, I didn't want to cancel a Saturday night stream because it might affect a date night on Saturday night. I just thought that was ridiculous.
Hey, the best pussy's on Tuesday nights, man.
On a slow Tuesday. You got to go bang them out on a slow Tuesday.
Yeah,
like
man. Weekday pussy's the best pussy, man. Hey, you take a break on the weekends, football and all that shit. So it's fun.
I have a friend of mine that I have to keep tabs on this guy. He goes on Plenty of Whales and he meets these women, and he has to be in a relationship. And then when something goes wrong in this relationship, he's with another woman. And so he had some woman he was dating, and then he announced on Facebook that he was going to have this woman move in with him. And I'm like, oh God, I'm going to have to get involved in this. And then he announces on Facebook that he's thinking about buying another home. Now he owns some really nice rental property, and he moved this woman in. And I told him, don't move this woman in. And he's like, yeah, you're right. So he just ended up he just took out a kitchen, and she just made him spend like 30 grand on this kitchen renovation. And it's like, this guy just can't be single. And I tell him, listen, you could spend some time on yourself. You go from woman to woman to woman, and every single woman he meets, they go up like 50 pounds. Now he's with someone that's like 250 pounds. You can't even believe it. I mean, you look at some of these men, they have zero standards at all.
Well, it's that whole thing, again, we go back to it, where a guy has to, and Steve, I think, says this, Steve and Coach say this, there's a difference between a man and a male.
Oh, yeah.
Now, I want to add something with this, because like I'm 53, and I have seen women that have said, two boyfriends and stuff, and people have said to me too, hey, if we dated, like, if we got serious, would you buy a house and like sell your other house or something like that? And some women talk about getting married and things. So what am I going to do? I'm going to sell a home that I have as a premarital asset and turn it into a marital asset at this point in my life. And that's a discussion that I had with a buddy of mine, that he was looking to sell his home. I said, you're out of your mind. You got well over $1 million that you're going to turn into joint assets if you end up marrying this girl, but she wants to get married.
Hey, John, you know what that's called? That's called a shit test. Okay,
yeah.
She shit tested him. All right, because I remember one time I had this beautiful girl that I was seeing. She lived downtown Chicago. I met her, beautiful, knockout. I mean, if you saw her, you'd be like, wow, that's a sexy broad. And I remember I already fucked her real fast, and she found out I had cats, and she said, oh, well, I'm allergic to cats. So what would you do with your cats? I said, no, I get rid of you. The cats stay. Like, I just told her flat out like that. Like, no, the cats stay, you go. Yeah. And she even tried to throw another angle at it. She said, well, what if we work out? Can we get like a basement for the cats? I said, no, we're not going to work out because I have cats. You're allergic to them. We'll just date. We'll just date. That's it. There is no future.
That's crazy.
And you see, but if you don't tell a woman that, that's when she sees, oh, he's weak. He just moved off his square. See, crazy. Like Steve was saying, you moved off your square. You're getting. I know guys that have gotten rid of animals for broads. Like, she'll never respect you if you do that shit. Never.
I've spent a lot of time on my men's team that I was on dealing with men that were going through divorce, and they were totally broken, on the verge of killing themselves. And I just had to like coach them through the process, and these men get so destroyed in the process, and just they totally cave because they've lived in these marriages where they just did everything, and then now they're going through this court process, and now they're just supposed to listen to the woman, listen to the courts, and just give her everything, give her cash and prizes on the way out, and then they're left totally destroyed, and they don't know what happened.
You know what? I'll give everybody a piece of advice that's listening. And Steve says this all the time. We say this on the Monday Night Show, and we say this on our individual shows. This is why we tell you to not invest much into a woman for a long while. Just give them your time, a coffee, a casual something. See, the more you invest, the more you want, and you're not going to get it. So that's why men go crazy, because they've invested. They're like, damn, I spent thousands of dollars on this woman. I've given up everything for this woman, and she gave me nothing but some mercy pussy. She gave me some mercy pussy at best, you know. And that's why they're going nuts. It's not so much the woman; it's he knows he gave up his balls for this bitch, and he's ashamed of himself.
Yeah,
honestly, that's really what it is. It's shame. It's like, God, I gave up so much to get so little. So this is why we coach men: give little, and just give them the man. Give them the man. Don't give them your money. Don't give them your things. Don't talk to them about moving in. Don't talk to them about houses. Don't talk to them about your assets. Don't even talk to them about your job. Really, you can tell them the title of your job, but not specifics about the job. Not until she's earned it. She has to earn herself. I say that's classified information, which you don't qualify for yet.
I was with one woman, and a friend said to me, I'm surprised she's dating you. Does she know what you have for a portfolio yet? I said, what do you mean? Like, what do you like? Does she know if you have a home or money and things like that? I'm like, no, we just met. Oh.
Jeez.
Yeah. I wish a woman would say that. I wish a woman would say something. I wish a woman's friend would even say that shit. I'd kick her the fuck out. I wish she'd pump enough blood in her heart to open her mouth to disrespect you. Did she say that in your house? Where did she say this at? Where was this said?
At like a club. It's a social event.
Oh, okay. Well, I would have laughed and walked off.
Yeah,
I wouldn't even entertain that.
I would have said all she knows is about this dick in her mouth. That's all she knows.
Or on her forehead, yo. Shit.
I mean, I've said, I just very vague. Well, I'm in finance. Oh, yeah. I don't say too much at all because I don't. What's the point?
Shit.
I gotta ask Drew. Drew, is this the first time you're on a live stream with Steve the Dean and Coach Theo? Any questions you want to ask him? I don't know your social situation. Are you married, girlfriend, or?
Yeah, I feel a little maybe out of the loop on this stuff. I'm about 4 months away from being married 20 years. So, but
okay.
It's been a, we're
Steve is
fortunate.
Married 21 years.
21 years, yeah. 21 years.
I'm fortunate. It's funny too. Tony, your brother's been talking lately, and my wife and I both get a kick out of this about, talking about the guys doing all the self-deprecation,
I hate that.
I'm so lucky, but it's funny. My wife and I just look and laugh at some of these guys, just like, keep talking like that and you'll be right one of those times.
I see that a lot with friends of mine on Facebook. I have one friend of mine where I like, come on, stop. It really bothers me because it'll be like, I'm so lucky to have you. You're the rock in our relationship. I wouldn't, and to me, they don't think that's a self-deprecation thing. It's more of a, like lifting her up. But to me, in fact, I told one friend of mine he had put on his Instagram, and I had told him to take that off because he had put hearts and all this stuff. I said, do me a favor. Put on there instead, say, she's lucky to have me. How about that? And then see how she does. And he did that. So I was proud of him. He took it off within like 5 minutes on Instagram.
I have a relative that I had to email him and say, you got to take that post down. Oh, my wife, she's the best. Put up with me with my job losses. And he went through this. I'm like, oh, God, please take this down. And then another relative that said about, I married a trophy wife. And I said, take that down. You're the trophy husband. I made him change it.
I like this guy, John. He's got some game, man. He's spitting some game here. I like this.
These guys.
Yeah. You know what I always say is celebrate the woman you've built, not the woman you met.
Yeah.
Okay,
That's
because the
real.
woman you meet is on bullshit. She's a representation of the past.
Yes.
Another motherfucker or another situation that she dealt with. So upon meeting a woman, no, she ain't shit, and she requires you to break her down to nothing to build her up to something. So just remember, celebrate the woman that you've built, not the woman that you've met.
You know, I've talked to my brother about this, and you know, we all have friends on our social media, but how many times have you seen the woman say on their social media, on their anniversary or something, "I'm so lucky to have him"? Absolutely, it's very rare.
Yes.
That you see that, where I'm lucky to have him, or just anything lifting that guy up. You'll see actually the opposite. Happy anniversary. He's so lucky to have me. I'm like, you know,
crazy.
He does it at home all the time, and she just goes with it. Why would she post that? He says it at home.
Yeah.
I don't understand what's going on with older guys that I know. They have this urge that they have to go and meet these Asian women because they can't date American women, and they bring these Asian women over here, and they bring them from Thailand. And then I know of 4 men who brought women over here from Thailand, which I would never do. I just don't see the reason for it. And all 3 of them ended up getting divorced. One of them actually ended up losing a family business. Another guy has got a lot of money, and he was coming up on, in Massachusetts, over 7 years as a long-term marriage. And I pulled him off to the side, and I said, you know, if she wakes up tomorrow and she decides to divorce you, you're not going to get out of this for less than $3 million. Easy $3 million. And he thought about it for a couple of months, and he got really nervous. He did go to court. He did divorce her. Now, he ended up hiring an attorney to represent one that spoke her language. Even with that, now this court was in Cambridge, Massachusetts, which is the most liberal feminazi court you can go to. The judge actually pulled the case aside and advised the woman to not accept the divorce and not accept the agreement, and to hold on and try to coach her into staying in this marriage. He ended up getting out of it, but you know, I find that older men today have to be very careful. They can lose a lot, and they're not understanding the dynamics of what's out there with women today. They may be 50 years old, they may be 40 years old or 30, but man, they understand the laws when they take on these relationships with men.
I've got somebody I'm going to bring in real quick. It's is it after dark? It sure is. So I'm going to be real quick on the trigger here, but I'm going to bring El Papas 123 in. So El Papas, if you got a question for somebody, whether it be Coach EO, Man Mindset, Steve the Dean, Drew, John Boston, or me, go ahead and let it out real quick. But I'm going to bring you on right now. So jump on and identify yourself. You're on, buddy. What's up? El Papas.
Muted.
Yes, he's muted.
El Papas, you there?
There he is.
Yep.
You got something to say, bud? El Papas? All right. Well, he's gone. He wanted to rev his motorcycle, whatever. So, all right. Well, he's gone. That was useless. So, anyways.
Yeah, in Italian, we call them chooches.
Chooch. Steve, I want to ask you a question about 2020. Sure. Talk to men and women, and let's hear something super positive for 2020.
Well, here's the super. Well, I don't want to gas these guys up.
Okay.
I thought about something the other night, and I realized that a lot of men are behind the 8 ball if you think about it, because a lot of men, if you look at 2019, they were having problems with women, right? 2020 came along and it made things even worse. So now they're worse off than they were in 2019 because of 2020. 2020 hasn't helped anybody, especially these guys that don't know anything about themselves or women. 2020 took the clubs away, took the bars away. It took everything away. And I think the best thing about 2020 is it actually showed guys that they don't know shit about women. They don't know shit about anything. They don't even understand online. For some reason, they think that there's a difference between approaching a woman face to face and a texting her or being online. There's not. I always tell guys, you are the one constant, regardless of whatever you do. If you do smoke signals, if you put a note on a dove, if you do sign language, if you text, email, whatever it is, it's coming from the one source. And these young men have got to realize that they're not the one source. The problem is they're the problem. And what they don't understand is, and I hate to see, I don't want to be the bearer of bad news. I'm just a bearer of truth. These women know the game more than the average guy out there. That's why they run them so much. And the worst part about it is these women are these insecure women. That's how bad it is. Insecure women are running the game more than these guys. And they don't understand, man, that as men, we give them security. That's why they love it so much, because we're the dress, the purse, and the shoes. They get with us to take away their insecurities. But when they get with an average guy, he looks at the woman as the dress, the shoes, and the purse. He looks at the woman being special and, oh, wow, she likes me. She texts me. Look, I've always said it. The game will never be about women. And as soon as you make it about women, complain about women, worry about women, that tells the world what you are and what you think for yourself. So I don't want to be mean to these guys, but I want to be honest and real. This is not sunshine and rainbows. This isn't an episode of the Brady Bunch or something. Well, I'm dating myself, so let me move it up to like the Martin or something. This is not a 30-minute episode where you get to take a few commercial breaks, eat a Twix bar, freeze time, and be able to get a woman. No, man. Women want men. But the thing I want to say to these guys, to give them some help here, is a new thing I'm going to start saying. Stop worrying about the next man, because the bear doesn't think about the lion doesn't think about the shark doesn't think about the eagle, and the eagle doesn't think about the wolf. They're all predators doing their own thing. And until you stop worrying about the next man and what he has versus what you need to do, you're always going to be the same motherfucker you was last year.
Coach EO, you're next, man.
Yeah. I co-sign everything he said. The one thing I would say that I want men to do, because see, women won't be right until we get men right. Okay, so for me to give advice to women, it can't start there. It's got to start with the man. Hence my mantra: begins and ends with the man. I see a lack of accountability and a lack of congruency. So for one, you got to sit the fuck down and say, all right, I fucked up. Fuck what my ex-wife did. Forget what he did, she did, the world did, my family did, my ex-boss did. And point the finger at yourself. For a considerable amount of time, look in the mirror and own your part in every outcome that has taken place in your life. Every single one. Point the finger at yourself and say, how did I help produce that outcome? Instead of saying, my wife did it, my ex-wife did it, women do this, my family does this. What was your part in producing that outcome? That's number one. So complete accountability. Hold yourself accountable. That's number one. And then number two, once you figured out where you've gone wrong, now you form a plan to fix it. Okay. If it's your credit, my credit is shot. Okay. I'm going to own it. Why is it shot? I have poor spending habits. I lack discipline. I'm easily led. I'm naive. I have a group of friends that live a lifestyle that I simply should not be rolling with them. Again, accountability and owning it. So now you form a plan to fix it. So you disconnect, and then you connect with new habits. Disconnect from old habits, connect with new habits. Okay, you have to take new action. And then after that, it's congruency. So when it comes to talking to women, the way you approach her, to the way you text her, to the way you date her, to the way you fuck her, to the way you make her your woman in relationship, not a wife. Relationship, and Steve says this all the time, there's steps and levels It's like a video game. You know, you got level 1, level 2, level 3, level 15. And it's like a woman should work each level. A woman should be exhausted by the time she becomes your wife. Like she should be exhausted from trying to become your wife. But it should also be a joy because she's earned it. She loves you. She respects you, and she wants nothing more than to have your last name and be your wife. So it should be. She's tired, but it's a good tired. So congruency. So the way you talk, to the way you move, to the actions you make in your life, the decisions you make, how you run your business, how you work your job. Yeah, if you are a spiritual man, how demonstrate the importance of that and how you won't derail from that. A man should always have his schedule. He should have his hobbies. He should have his loves in life. Things that are important to him. These are things that are there before the woman comes. See, a lot of the time, a man wants to build a life once the woman comes. You should build the life before the woman comes and then introduce that life to the woman. That's the way you go about it. So that's what I want to see from men in 2021 is full accountability, own every action, every situation, every occurrence. What was your part in it? Because you are to blame. And 2, congruency, forming a plan and then congruency. That man should stay consistent throughout.
Good point.
I love it, man. I love it. Yeah, that's some solid advice. We got Coach EO and Steve the Dean tonight, man. I'm stoked to have you guys on here. This is just a great surprise. Man, or Drew or John Boston, any questions for Coach or Steve the Dean? Throw them out there.
I got a question.
Okay, we got a question here in the chat here.
Okay, go ahead with that. Yeah.
It says, okay, I'm going to leave that to Steve and Coach EO.
I can answer that one real quick. What's it matter what she's being? I mean, you're supposed to be there to perform a job. Fuck her. Like, fuck that bitch. I mean, who gives a fuck about her? Like if she just do your job with excellence and leave. And if you don't like it, then while you're working this job, research another job and then move to another situation that you would feel, I hate to say more comfortable in, because that sounds like some bitch shit, because a man should be able to adapt to anything. Yeah. But truth be told, I'm not trying to be an asshole, but fuck her. What does it matter what she's doing and who she is? That's on her. You're there to perform a task, to do your job with excellence, to earn an income and produce for that company and leave. Fuck her.
I want to add something in here. I've worked for several really large Fortune 100 type companies. And man, I would follow the Pence rule. And don't be in a room alone with the female boss. You can get into trouble like that, even just with nothing going on. It could serve as a purpose to have you eliminated, even if she senses that there's any friction between the two people.
Hey, and you know what? One last thing I'll say about that. I knew a woman one time. I lived down at a property, and she was the property manager. And everybody said this was a bitch. They were like, she is a bitch. She hates men. Don't fuck with her. Do you know that I made her smile one day so big that she was laughing like for 5 minutes in a row? And what I did was, I called her for a maintenance situation. And I said, and I asked for her directly because people told me what a bitch she was. So I wanted to address her. Like, it was like a challenge for me. I said, okay, I'm going to put a smile on this woman's face. So I said, let's just say her name was Cheryl. I said, can I speak to Cheryl, please? And she said, Cheryl speaking. And I said, oh, okay. I said, I heard you're the woman to talk to. You're the woman that doesn't bullshit. And she started laughing so loud when I said, oh, I heard you're the woman that doesn't bullshit around. And she loved that. And she turned feminine to me and everything. So I would say this. For every woman that you think is a man hater and doesn't respect men, there's a way to come at her that you and her could actually have a pretty decent connection. You got to find that.
As I said before, the lion doesn't care about the bear doesn't care about the shark doesn't care about the eagle doesn't care about the wolf. I can read your statement and tell you're the problem. First question, why do you give a fuck about her respecting other men? What do the other men have to do with you? Why are you worried about the next man? What proof? See, this is that theory shit. Have you been around to see her disrespect other men? And whether she disrespects other men or not, what does that have to do with you? Why do y'all guys do this woman stuff where you want to, instead of standing on you and who you are, you want to bring in other motherfuckers to make yourself seem like you want validation, and where you want us to say, oh, your boss is bad. You know what? She's your boss for a reason. And if she doesn't respect you, I'm cool with that because she's your boss. Do you think she's supposed to go to you and say, is it okay if I tell you to do what you're supposed to do? Fuck no. That's why you work for her. And the fact that you can't leave another job and you need to get your big boy pants on, stop bitching, and do your damn job. I don't care how she treats you. Clock in and suck that shit up and stop bitching. The reason she's fucking with you is because she smells that your pussy's tight. And you ain't gonna get nowhere acting like a bitch. And bitches bitch about bitches. And you ain't supposed to be that. You're supposed to be a man, dude. Stop. I mean, all this, well, she does it to other men. Fuck the next man. What about you? What are you doing wrong? Are you coming to work late? I know you're doing something wrong because apparently she's fucking with you, meaning that you're doing something wrong. And even if you wasn't doing anything wrong, why do you give a fuck?
I would like to know which industry he's in and why he's so restricted that he can't ever leave this job. Because he said changing jobs is not an option. I mean, why the fuck not? Here's the thing. If you carry that complaining kind of, I want to be treated with respect kind of mindset, you're just going to take that to the next job anyway. You'll just take it to the next job anyway, and you'll have a boss there that is demeaning and maybe perhaps a little disrespectful. So you just got to understand that the business world is a dog world. They got quotas to meet. They got management on their fucking, trails. They might have just had a conference call. You don't know see, here's the thing. All you care about is your pressure. You never think about the pressure that other people have above you. And so that's just one thing. Stop thinking about yourself. Like Steve said, put your big boy pants on, clock the fuck in, do your job with excellence, and leave and go fuck somebody after that. All right.
Real quick. I want to say this. Boo-hoo. Let me tell you something. When I was playing football before the internet, my coach not only yelled at me, disrespected me, he punched me in my chest, he grabbed my face mask and yelled and screamed at me to a point where sometimes he threw bottles at me if I messed up. You know what? That's what makes me the man I am today. She's not being unprofessional. Like, see, all you soft motherfuckers don't understand something. She's a woman in a man's world, meaning that she's got to do much more than the average man to hang with men. And if she's unprofessional and she's yelling and she's threatening, suck that shit up, motherfucker. If you don't like it, leave that shit, man. And if she smells weakness in the water, look. If you in your way, untie your fucking panties, take your ass to HR and talk to them. You ain't do that shit. Talk to HR or go get a fucking job. But stop bitching, man.
All right. I'm going to bring in, I don't know who this is. It's late. So I'm going to bring in Anthony Duckworth. So I'm hoping he's got something valuable to say or ask a question. But I'm going to bring him on real quick. We'll see what happens. Anthony, you're coming on? Anthony? No, he's gone. Well, that was quick. But we're going to put that hammer. We're going to put that hammer up there with Ronan. Steve dropping the hammer of Thor. Hey, to I.B. Benjamin, who asked the question. Listen, man, these guys are giving you some advice. So, yeah, it's going to be a little real. It might be a little talk, but it's real truth. So, don't take it the hard way. Take it the right way. That's for sure.
Man, I've worked with enough people. I've worked with nice people, miserable people, divorced people, married people, people that hate themselves, people that love themselves. I've talked to fucking closers. I've talked to weak motherfuckers. I've worked with them all. And at the end of the day, I've learned a little bit from them all as well. Just looking at how they act, I'm like, God damn, I want to act like this motherfucker right here. So like, learn from this shit too. That's another thing. It's like, but at the end of the day, like I said, who the fuck cares what this bitch is feeling like right now? She took that role. If she's stressed out and being a fucking maniac, let her be a maniac. Just do your job, make your money, and leave. I mean, that's the best advice any man can give you. I mean, anything other than that, we're fucking, you know,
let me ask
lying to you.
Question. Since he asked the question, what do you think he wanted to hear?
He probably wanted us to bash women. He probably wanted us to, go ahead, Steve. That's what he wanted.
No, you're right. No, I know
he wanted us to find something bad about women. Said, I know these bitches ain't shit, right? These bitches ain't shit. Now, within the confines of a relationship, no, bitches ain't shit. But I will tell you, I've met some very smart, business savvy women. I've met some strong women. I knew a cop one time that was a female, and I was impressed by her, just by her demeanor. And she was a straight woman. She was, she was a cop, but she was straight. She was sexy. So, you know, I think he wanted us to somehow bash her but we're not going to do that. We're going to actually tell you to be a fucking man. Are you there to make money or to worry about this bitch and her miserable ass? Fuck her.
It kind of reminds me. It reminds me of that skit on Saturday Night Live a few years ago. It was an office harassment skit, and there was a guy that was just asking a woman about something, and she's picking up the phone and calling HR. And then Tom Brady walks in his underwear and just sits there, and his crotch is hanging there, and she's like, oh, wow, and she was all excited about it. So I mean, it's how it's being presented. So I feel bad for this guy, but you know.
No, I don't feel bad for him. This is life. The world doesn't care about you. The game doesn't care about you, and we care about you. That's why we talking to you the way we are talking to you, because you are, like EO said, he's looking for validation. You want us to put our arm around you and coddle your ass and tell you it's not your fault. It's the woman's fault. It's the bird's fault. It's the office fault. Motherfucker, it's your fault for being weak as fuck, worried about a woman yelling and screaming. Have you watched Charlie Brown, man? Every time that motherfucker's in the classroom and the teacher's talking, wah, 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 man. Watch some Charlie Brown, dude.
That's some game right there, bro.
That's great, man.
Hey, I think Anthony's got a question for John Boston real quick. At 11:06.
Where is it?
11:06, yeah.
Let me see. I don't see it.
It's right under freelance, the hammer, above the hammer.
Okay.
Second to last message.
Second to last message.
Oh, 12:06. Okay, it's 12:06.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, my bad.
We're central here, yeah.
Well, the church says we can't get married, but I guess you can get an annulment. I am never considered getting remarried. But man, I don't, at this point in my life, I wouldn't consider marriage again. But I think you'd have to get, your marriage annulled, and then you can get remarried if that's what you want to do. Maybe someday I'll wake up and I'll have the George Bruno epiphany that I need to get married again. I was, maybe someday, but it would.
But isn't that kind of a Catholic thing, like getting annulled?
Yeah, well, you would have to get the annulment, which annuls the marriage that you have. It's almost like. I've always thought of it like as declaring bankruptcy in the court and then going back in for a clean slate. That's just my take on it. When I first heard about it a long time ago.
IB Benjamin has a comment here. He says, "I was looking for some tips
we gave it to
deal with those negative interactions."
See that right there? See that right there? We spent at least 10 minutes giving him tips. And that shit went right out his goddamn ears. And he didn't even pay attention to what we saying.
Yeah,
This is why
I'll make it real clear for him so that way he can't misunderstand. Go to work, clock in, be focused on the job. Don't be and specifically your job duty. Fuck her job duties and the mood she's in. It's irrelevant. It doesn't matter.
Yep.
Focus on your job duties and do those to the best of your ability and do it with excellence and leave.
And what I would say,
that's all you got to do.
And what I would say is listen. That's probably why she's yelling at your ass right now, because you are not obtaining the information that you're getting from us. So it shows why she's yelling at your fucking ass, because you choose not to see the truth for what it is. You're living in this could-be world. Matter of fact, would you like me to give you 5 fucking beans and tell you can go up a beanstalk or some silly-ass shit because you ain't paying attention? That's why she's yelling at your ass, because you don't pay the fuck attention, man. Excuse
hey,
me.
I'll be jamming. Do me a favor. Email me where you work, and then I'll start having phone sex with your boss. So she could be in a better mood for you, okay, my brother? I will start having phone sex with your boss, all right?
Well, you could be setting him up to get fired, you know.
I'm not being serious, by the way.
Let me
oh, sorry.
That's all right. Let me say something. Like I be jamming. Let's say he wants to tell Coachio or Steve. Let's say he wants to consult with you guys. How can he find both of you guys?
Well, he can go to themanmindset.com and buy some of Steve's. I'll let Steve speak for himself, but the Man Mindset, he's got all kinds of courses for men, and he also can do one-on-one coaching with Steve, and then even I do one-on-one coaching. So I mean, my website's championgamecoaching.com and Steve's is themanmindset.com. So one of us can help you, but I will tell you, we're not easy. We're not going to sit there and coddle you and make it and allow you to give us excuses. We're going to flash the light on you. We got to get to the core problem. The only way to fix this is to hold yourself accountable. Even when you said I can't leave jobs, I see weakness in that. Why the fuck can't you leave your job? There's gotta be something.
Always an option.
Yeah.
I mean, I left $150,000 easy back in March to come do this.
Let me ask you guys a question. This is directly to Steve and to Coach EO. Do you think age has anything to do with the context of this question? In other words, if he's 20 or if he's 50?
No, I don't even look at age. I don't look at color of skin or height or anything like that. I look at behavior. That's it. I cut through all that shit and just look at your behavior and look at your actions and look at how you feel about yourself. And like EO said, I don't think he's going to get help, because I think he wants to be coddled. If you really want help, you'll ask for help, man. That's what men do. When I was 9 years old and I got into this game, I asked for help. I got things going, but I didn't know what I know now. So even at 9 years old, I could recognize I needed help. And a lot of men need help. And you just got to push your pride, your ego, and your self-importance aside and say, I don't know shit. And then for me to learn, because I don't want you to lose your job. But if you're worried about this damn woman the way you are, it's just not going to work out for you, man.
You can only control your own actions and your own emotions.
Yes.
And so you just got to wake up every day and say, I'm only in control of what I do. It doesn't matter what another man says, another woman says. I am control I'm in control of my life and my decisions. So I'm going to go to work today. I'm going to dress better. I'm going to walk different. I'm going to do my job a little better than I did the day before. I'm going to be courteous. I bet he could improve. I'm going to tell you right now, people that are great at their job, they don't usually get mistreated. I'm just being honest. If you're great at your job, there could be a conversation or two where maybe somebody rubs you the wrong way. But as a general rule, if you are excellent at what you do, people respect you.
I want to know what she's yelling at him for. Let's be honest. Type in what she's screaming at you about. Let us know what specifically is she yelling at you about. And watch. Tell us. Come on. You said she's screaming. Tell us what she's yelling at you about to be so disrespectful to you.
I would tell him to try to line up another job, and the next time she gets disrespectful with him, say, "Hey, don't talk to me like that." And if she fires him, he's got another job. I mean,
I've been, not in the too distant past, kind of in a situation like this. And as we talk through it here, it reminds me of what I went through in basically taking over a team that, I was told this other department we work with, same kind of stuff. Oh, she hates men. This team I was in charge of was all men delivering services, kind of in the hospitality world. And you know what? You come to find out after learning about the situation, wasn't that at all. This team sucked. They were terrible. Never delivered what they said they were going to do, or delivered at a really low level, just a low performing group. And you know what? You get past that. You figure out what value you can deliver, to this other person that supposedly just hates men. Well, it wasn't about that. It's because you guys suck. So we're going to do this, change the whole game. Everybody just wants to butt heads. Figure out how to deliver value. Get past that. And, fortunately, in this particular situation, we were able to turn it around and actually ended up becoming almost friends, really good colleagues out of the whole thing, out of somebody where I first went into the situation, it was, a completely negative atmosphere and kind of similar to what he's talking about. There's probably more to it. And like Coach EO says, you deliver, do your job. My guess is there might be a little less of, the perception may not be totally accurate on his part.
That's very good analysis there. Remember, I said this. Point the finger at you before you point the finger at anybody else. Okay, she's a bitch. So what? She could be on her period. She could be going through a divorce. She could hate her life. She could have lost her dog. She could have been abandoned. Or she's among a bunch of fucking losers. There's a variety of things. At the end of the day, it really doesn't matter because you're only responsible for your participation in that situation. So do your job with excellence. Do it better than you did yesterday. Dress better, walk better, talk better. Fucking go to the 21 convention. Save up for seminars, self-improvement, meet and greets, things like that. I'll be doing public speaking this year. So invest in yourself. There's got to be other opportunities too. I'm not saying for you to go and quit or do something self-destructive, but always have options. A man with options is dangerous, man. That guy can do a lot of different things. Just like in dating, if you have options, you don't settle for bullshit. If you have options and you know your value, you can go to another job. The older you get, the harder it is because they want to hire young professionals, but which is why you should always stay as young looking as possible too, which is why your appearance is important. Keep up with the times. I look younger today than I did 5 years ago. And that's because I drank and smoked and I partied all night and I didn't take good care of myself. I'm in bed early now. I don't drink. I don't smoke. I make much better decisions and I look younger than I did 5 years ago, quite frankly. So you can rejuvenate yourself. And remember, hold yourself accountable and do better than you did yesterday.
Yeah, I think this guy needs some more options. I think he sounds like he's probably got like he'd rather be doing something else. That's what it sounds like to me, or else he wouldn't be complaining about it. Hey, man, find something else and start a business or find another job. That's what I would get. That's what I had to say.
The only problem with that, Mando, and I know that's good advice.
You don't know the situation, right?
Yeah. No, not only that, but it's a mindset problem because he'll carry that same mindset to the next gig. Mm-hmm. So this is why coaches like Steve and myself, and even you, and all of us, you got to get to the core problem. If he's complaining about another person, he's not focusing on his job. He's not focusing on him.
If it's not his fault,
it'll always be someone else's fault.
Yes.
You can tell he's full of shit because he still hasn't answered the damn question. He has not answered the question.
Drew, it's funny you said that. It's always somebody else's fault. I have some people in my circle, in my contracting, that it's always the other person's fault. And that is so wrong. I think what it is like with me, I have I'm going to say my issues with customers and other contractors is pretty much non-existent. I don't have any issues with any customers that I do work for. Zero. I've been in business for 30 years and I can count the complaints in less than one hand. So I strive for that excellence in what I do. I have always done that.
Yeah.
So,
when I go back and look at things and, you think about different situations, see, you know what? In most cases, I'm saying, hey, that was my fault.
Yeah.
If I didn't own it, and do something about it,
Yeah, but there are a lot of people out there that have to blame somebody else because they won't take a look at their internal and say, you know what, I'm the fuck up. You know, I'm not saying IB Jamming is a fuck up. He was asking a question, and I'll give him a lot of credit for having the balls to ask the question, especially when we got Steve and Coach EO on here. So that he, hopefully he's got big clanging balls right now when he goes back to work on Monday morning.
Yeah. I think he needs more options. I do.
Yeah.
And I agree with what you fellas are saying, and I think his problem is personally with himself is that he doesn't have options.
But we don't know what he still ain't telling us what the problem is. What I'm saying, he's full of shit. If I ask him what 2 + 2 is, he can put 4 real fast, right? We're asking him to tell us, and he knows he's fucking wrong, because if he knew something if he was honest about what he was saying, he would have already told us what happened in the situation. He's trying to come up with the right words or something to say to cover his fucking ass. I think he's the fucking problem, man.
Yeah, and I bet you the problem now ain't even a problem. He just realized, like, damn, this wasn't even a problem. I'm the problem. I, honestly, sometimes when you put it on them, they're like, wait a minute, I'm the problem. I mean, these people.
Here we go. And this is cool. So maybe it now puts a little more context. He's the same age as me, 58. So as soon as it pops up here in the StreamYard, I'm going to throw it up there. And then, here we go. I'm 58 years old. I'm a rational person, and she's an emotional person. Logic and emotions don't mix.
Stop right there, motherfucker. Can you please, let me hold your little hand, okay? Do I have to, you know what? Hold on a second. Y'all say what y'all got to say. Let me go ahead and talk to him like the child he is, because apparently he's not listening he can't even follow simple instructions. We asked you a simple question. We said, tell us what's happening. And yet you're a 58-year-old kid that can't even answer a fucking question. You're not a rational person. You're a weak cupcake grass-eating lion, and you're the emotional person because you're bitching about somebody else's emotions. Now, can you please, with sugar on fucking top, tell us what the fuck the bitch is doing to you so we can help you, sir?
Hey, and Steve and Tony, check this out. You asked Steve a question earlier. You said you think this is a young person problem, and I'll be honest with you. That company will probably be better suited with a young person than a 58-year-old man who's still complaining at that age. Like you'd rather get a guy in out of 24, 25, maybe out of college or whatever, who he's not so jaded. He doesn't even realize the woman's a bitch. Like he's trying to work and
here we go.
build a career.
He works in construction.
He's still in it. See, guys. All right, I'm gonna have to walk him through it like a child. Give me a second. I see that. I'm gonna have to hold his hand. And
like what Steve is saying, I be jamming, is give us specific examples of how she's emotional. Like, did she say, I be jamming, fuck you? I be jamming, you do a terrible job here. Give us examples of how she's emotional and how. And I'll be honest, if you're logical, this wouldn't be bothering you.
Yeah, but
if you were logical, this wouldn't be bothering you. So you can't say you're logical, because if you're allowing an emotional person to bother you, then you're emotional. So you have to say one emotional person is triggering another emotional person, and I'm not happy with this situation and I need help. That's own it that way. You're not logical if you care about an emotional person.
So let me talk to him like a child. Now, okay, sir, can you please, with sugar on top, find it in your heart to tell us what it is you're doing to make her yell and scream at you, the meanie woman. Tell us what the meanie woman. If I had, wait, I got it. Wait a second. Hold on. Okay, hey, brother, why don't you tell me on this bear where she has touched you? Where is she touching you on the bear to make you feel it? Is she touching you in your no-no area? Come on, you can talk to us. We're in a safe place. Do you want me to talk to you like that and shit? I mean, my God, guys. Fuck.
This might be him. I'm going to bring on Justin real quick. We'll see. I don't know, but I'm going to bring him on real quick. So, Justin, go ahead and identify yourself really, really quick. Justin? Justin, are you there? Justin, you're gone.
It's just weird, man.
Yeah.
Y'all see, just weird, man. Shit.
So let me see if IB Jammin gives us a scenario that we can.
I mean, dude, you're not married to her. Who gives a fuck? I mean, he's like logic and emotions don't mix. I mean, you're not married to the woman. Who cares what she is? I mean, I don't know how else we could break it down. I mean, Tony tried, Mandado tried, Steve's been trying, I've tried, Drew tried, John. I mean, who cares what she is? Go to your job, do better than you did yesterday, and like we said, get your options up, brother. I mean, I don't care.
I think he's lying. I think he's lying, brother. He won't listen. It's one thing to ask the question, but he's not even telling us what she's yelling at him for. He's not even telling us this shit, man.
Yeah. Maybe he wants to fuck her or something. You want to fuck her, bro? I mean, I'm just being honest. There's
maybe it's
something
a Saturday
wrong
night.
here.
He's thinking about his boss on a Saturday night, midnight here, and maybe it's a construction site thing. I don't know. Maybe.
Oh my god! Shit.
This women that like to yell at men, and it's
What would
Hey, I got 3 words. I have 3 words for him. All right, jerk before work.
Okay. What would be a we'll call it for Steve and Coach EO. What would be an acceptable response that he would give you to where she comes up and slaps me in the back of the head, or in other words, what would be an acceptable to you guys to say, okay, yeah, she's being a shithead?
Nothing, because I put it back on the man. Because if she's treating you like that, then you must act like a bitch.
Exactly.
Straight up. I mean, you must act like a bitch. There is no woman just walking up to a manly man that's doing his job like a fucking boss, and she just mistreating him like that. Like the truth is that there's no advice there's nothing he could say that it all comes back to the man.
Yes.
You must walk around that construction site like a bitch.
Yeah.
I mean, I think about, what he's saying, and I'm thinking, I can't remember, and I've had women bosses. I've had a women owner of the construction company. I can't think of anybody that was over me in any job that I had, even going back to a grocery market when I was, 15, 16 years old, that it ever bothered me.
But Tony, my brother, again, I think he's lying. It's this simple. My boss is doing this to me. This is what she's doing. It's been fucking 20 minutes now, and he still has not gave us any specifics, because he knows if he tells us the truth, we're gonna see him for what the fuck he really is. That's why he ain't saying shit, man. His boss should. Matter of fact, we need to find your boss, because she need to punch you in your fucking face while she's yelling at you to wake you the fuck up. If you acting like this, man.
Oh shit.
I've never, like, my response would be, whether I said it to her or under my breath, like, get the fuck out of here. I mean, it probably wouldn't even faze me, but again, that's just me.
But she's not I don't think she's doing it. I think she said, excuse me, can you go lift that hammer? He's like, oh yeah, why are you yelling at me? I mean, I think that's what it is. I think she's treating him really good. And I just think that because he listened to all these theory-based people on YouTube that say all these women are out to get men, I think her as saying, sir, can you please pick up that hammer and nail? He's like, oh, why are you trying to tell me what to do? You're a woman. I think that's what it is, man. I don't think that woman's doing that.
You're right.
Come on, man.
You're right.
Well, we didn't hear back from him, and I wish he would just give us the scenario on what she had said, because I think that would.
He'd be jamming. He should change his name to He Be Sipping.
I be complaining.
Yeah, I be emotional. I know. Hey, people, listen to this. I know y'all think, well, God, those guys are so mean and tough, but we're trying to toughen you up, man. Y'all want everything sunshine and rainbows where it's all in a nice bow, man. The game doesn't work that way, man. And we are just no nonsense men telling you a truth that some people can't swallow, man.
Especially as men, because now you're being brainwashed to be a fucking bitch. I saw a commercial yesterday. I could not believe the way this man was standing and talking and how he was dressed. And he had like a female lisp. And I was just like, damn, look what they're doing to men.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, you need more men like us giving it to you straight. I mean, you trust me, you need this. Trust me. And I never claimed to be a nice guy. I am not a nice guy. Don't follow me. Don't subscribe to me. If you want to hear a nice message, I am not nice. I'm real, but I'm not nice. So, you know, I never claimed to be either. So
you guys think it's different to where like how I grew up with my dad. And if you guys ever meet my dad, you'll get it. We're ones that can take the heart punch. Like Steve says, we can take that smack. How do you guys talk to a guy that can't take that fucking punch, man?
Well, Tony,
are you guys giving them that punch that they didn't have?
Well, okay, you can see my father on Fox News.
Oh, yeah.
You see the asshole he is, right? He's a
I love your dad.
Yeah, my dad's a fucking asshole and shit, man. But not an asshole, he's just a smart ass, but he's a confident, arrogant smart ass and tells you like it is. Listen, man.
Do Drew and John Boston know who Steve's dad is?
No, I do not.
Ted Williams on Fox News.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
cool.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay. So you know where I get that shit from. But what I'm saying is that what we're doing is we're showing you more love than anything, because love doesn't have to be I have to hold you and validate you. I'm trying, and EO and all of us on here, we're just trying to show you that the tougher you are, no one's gonna fuck with you. No one's gonna bother you when you toughen your fucking ass up. And like you say, see what I love about you, Bruno, and all of us. I think we are all before the internet. You know what I mean? Oh, yeah. You had to be tough. There was no coddling or cuddle parties and shit. It was either you gonna get picked first or you gonna take your ball and go home like a little bitch. And there was no in between. You are or you're not, and that's it, man.
But at 58, I would think that he is from an era that, you know, Tony Bruno's that even before me. I'm 40, man. I'll be 41. And I don't think like this. So at 58, I am a little shocked that at 58. Now, again, we thank you for the question, but at 58, for you to say I'm a rational person and she's an emotional person, logic and emotions don't mix. You read that somewhere, or you heard a content creator say that? That's not common. That's not something common for you to say. Like the way he worded it, the way he typed it, he heard that somewhere. So. You know, I would encourage you, man, start all over, man. It's Saturday night. It's Monday morning. Take your ass in there, man the fuck up. Put your boots on, tighten them the fuck up, do your job. If anything, make the bitch laugh, man. Just be playful with her. Don't take the job so serious. Find a way to put a smile on her face. I'm not saying be flirty with her. Don't be flirty with her or nothing like that. But, you know, be nice. Just be nice, man. Be pleasant, do your job, and leave.
It's funny, man.
Get you some pussy, man. Because if you get some pussy, you don't care about this shit.
What can a woman yell to a man to move him off his square?
I would laugh at her, bro. I would laugh at her.
Oh, it's funny.
I would have called her a bitch. I would have said, "Hey, bitch, listen up. I'm doing my job. Do yours." I swear to God, I would have told her that.
It just doesn't make any sense. What can a woman say to move you off your square, fam? That's what we're trying to tell you. No. What can she say when she yell? It's like, it sounds like, oh, please, Stephen, can you do this for me? Even if she's yelling, I don't give a fuck. What do you think, man?
Next time she yells, maybe just say, feminism is cancer. See how she
Go to HR. Just go to take your cake ass to HR, write it in a note, slide it under someone's door anonymously because you ain't gonna stand on this shit, and say, I know a boss that's
They call a hotline. See, they call a hotline. There's got to be a hotline somewhere.
Well, we
Call
know,
with a voice box. Call the hotline with a voice box.
49er in HR, and they'll come down and they'll do a zero tolerance on him. God.
if he is a civil engineer, then I'm sure he's working in an office environment. I mean, that's one of the contexts we can put to it. That's all.
But
I mean,
I'll say this: if he is going to take
context we can put to it, because a civil engineer is going to be, basically you're working on plans and things like that. So you're in an office environment.
I would say this: if he is going to take it to upper management or someone higher, he better be prepared to give examples of what he's experiencing. Yes. So that's what we tried to extract tonight, was the examples, so we could actually help you. But I mean, he was very basic and template in his responses. So if you are going to take it somewhere and you want to do something about this, you better have some specific examples of how she's disrespectful to you on the job.
And or peers to back you up. Is it just you? Is there a group of people? And that could help too, I suppose.
Yes.
Yeah, but I can't. I'm not trying to see. The thing is, let's say all of us are at a job and the bitch is yelling at me. I would expect y'all to kick my fucking ass if I brought your names in this shit. Hey man, it's all these guys. It's Drew, it's John, it's Coach E.O., it's man, and it's Tony Bruno. She's doing it to all those guys too. Man, if y'all don't beat my ass after that, I'm gonna unfree you motherfuckers.
That is some pussy ass shit. Yeah, but I mean, we don't know what else this motherfucker's gonna do. So the best advice is, if you're working in an office environment, just do your fucking job and just, hey, if you got to, man. Now this is my advice. This could be bad advice, but check her ass back. Say, hey, can you get the fuck out of my office real quick? I'm doing some shit right now. Hey, listen, you need to get out of my office. I'm busy. I got it. Just talk to her like that sometimes. I mean, I'm not saying all the time, but if she comes at you hard, be like, listen, I got it. I don't got time to hear all that. I'm busy right now. I'll talk to you in an hour. Just talk to her like that. Throw it back at her, and she might be like, ooh, about time a motherfucker in here had some balls. So I'm saying, don't curse her and don't be sexual. But if she comes at you, just be like, you know what? I'm busy right now. I'll be with you in a moment. All right, step out of my office. That's it.
That's some good advice right there.
Yes, like that. I've done that before. I've checked people like that, and they come back, and then they come at me. Is there something wrong? No, there ain't nothing wrong. I'm just busy, girl. That's it. So people will try you. This is a trying society. They're going to try you in the job. They're going to try you on the street. Women are going to try you. Your family's going to try you. Everyone's going to try you. So you got to know how to combat that. And, that's one way.
Yeah. It business or as an employee. Yeah.
It could just be the office place shit test.
Yeah. And you got to overcome that shit. Hey, listen, I already know what I'm doing. Can you get out of my office? I'm busy right now. Just like that.
Or he doesn't say anything and just record her yelling at him. You pile up the fucking yells and screams and shit. Bring that shit to fucking HR or her boss and say this is not a nice suitable condition of work. I can't work under these conditions. I feel like every time I'm doing something, she's always on my ass. And here's the proof. Press play. I mean, shit. Yeah, I don't know what the fuck else to tell that dude.
Yeah, and then go buy some tampons after that.
Man maxi pads. Man maxi pads.
Tampons.
Man maxi pads.
Yeah, man
tampons.
Man ponds.
Yeah, man ponds.
I think they sell them in stores in Cambridge, Massachusetts.
He's gonna go to sleep tonight and dream about all these situations in his head.
That's what we do.
I hope it was a good kick in the ass for him. I really do. That's what I hope. I mean, we got two of the best here, so that's whatever they rolled upon tonight. They didn't realize that they got the best. So you wanted the best, you got the best.
You got it.
Yes.
But anyways, guys, I'm going to wrap it up. And I want to start with Coach E.O. and how everybody can find you.
Yes, yes. Well, first of all, thank you for doing the show, Tony. This was a good thing. You're helping a lot of men out. You're giving people an opportunity to come in and learn from a lot of experience. I mean, clearly you see here a lot of experience and original game. We always say that too. This isn't like regurgitated stuff. So
Yeah.
I wanted to jump on. You sent me the link a couple times. I said, and I haven't even finished my haircut yet. I'm sitting here with a bowl haircut. I may not even finish it tonight. I just do it in the morning. But I wanted to jump on as a brother, one brother to another, help you out and contribute. That's what brothers are supposed to do.
I appreciate it, man.
Yeah. So everybody, continue to support the Tony Bruno Show. Mantidote, nice getting acquainted with you. There's a night there's a chill vibe to you, which is really cool. I like that.
He laid the fuck back.
Yeah, he just chill, man. He's ready to go. He's chill.
Yeah.
John Boston, it was a pleasure talking to you. Very intelligent guy. You offered a lot of great insight regarding perhaps alternative methods to deal with the virus and things like that. So, and also you mentioned helping guys with financial increase. So I think you should consider doing that, and if you do, I'll support you. And Drew, nice to meet you. Thanks for coming on, adding your expertise. And of course, my man, Steve the Dean. I had to go last with Steve, but that's my party in crime on Monday nights. Steve and I do a show Monday nights called the Champion Mindset Dating Show for Men. 7 p.m. Central Time. Call in with your questions. But again, it's not easy. We mean well. We love you guys. We want the best for you, but we know if we coddle you and we don't give you the real answer, then we're not helping you. So this is our style. And I can be reached at Coach EO, the YouTube channel, Coach EO, Mr. Champion Game. I got a website, championgamecoaching.com, or you can hire me to be your empowerment coach. I also sell merchandise. I'm going to do public speaking this year. And so, and hopefully, I'll be back at the 21 if A1, wants to bring Champion Game back. So a shout out to him. And I'm also on Instagram, Coach EO _Champion Game. That's it.
Steve? Yes. Tony, look, man, like I say, I don't give a fuck what I'm doing, man. You call, I come. Yeah, I mean. So I love you, man. Nah, fuck that appreciation. That's what we do, baby. I got your back like 4 motherfucking flats because I love what you do. I support what you do. Mantidote, I love your laid backness, man. You just chill. I love that. Matter of fact, the name is motherfucking dope.
That's right.
Right on that motherfucking name, man. As far as Drew, congratulations on your 20 years, brother. I think that's admirable, especially in this time of computer age and all that other stuff. John, like EO said, man, if you got a niche, run with that shit. Whatever you're good in, run with that shit, man. Big ups to you as well. Man, motherfucker, I can just talk a book about your motherfucking ass, man. Brother from another mother, love this motherfucker. Hey, man, I support all you guys, man, and I just appreciate y'all allowing me on here, man. And for the chat room motherfuckers, go to themanmindset.com. The YouTube is youtube.com, Steve Williams. That's how long I got my own little name behind YouTube. That's how long I've been on this bitch for. But all I'm just saying is, fuck me. Listen to these men. If you don't do anything, make sure you listen to those that know game over fucking theory. That's going to get you in a better position. I wish all you guys a happy new year, and the pleasure's all mine to be with y'all, man, on here tonight.
Appreciate nice to meet you, Steve.
Thank you.
Yeah, respect.
Man, you want to go? Go ahead. Tell everybody how they can find you.
You can find me at Mantidote on Instagram, like Antidote, and you can find me on YouTube. That's it. You can find me on YouTube at the Primal Man, PRIMALMAN on YouTube. We got a couple videos up there you can check out. You might like them.
I'm adding you right now.
All right.
Drew and John. Drew, go ahead. Can people find you?
Yeah, mostly Instagram, Bomb Power. So just my last name and then POWR. Nothing crazy. I just share funny shit. That's about it. I don't do a whole lot of content creation, but.
Awesome. And John Boston?
Well, I don't have a YouTube channel. I don't have an Instagram. I've been following the Bruno boys for a long time. I'm on I'm on Coach EO's site. I've been on Steve's site on YouTube, so I've learned a lot, and I appreciate being involved in this chat tonight. A couple of times I'm invited to come on, but I wasn't home. I wasn't available to join in, but I figured I'd join in tonight and just chat with you guys, and I appreciate it. Thank you, and a great Happy New Year, and hope this is a great New Year for you guys. Thank you.
Well, I'm Tony Bruno. You guys can find me on Instagram, Parler, Twitter at T21Surfer. Of course, this YouTube channel is Tony Bruno, T21 Surfer. Happy New Year, everybody. I appreciate you, everybody who's watching right now. And also everybody who jumped on tonight, from Anthony to, I don't want to forget anybody that was on earlier, but
JC, right? JC was one of the guys.
JC was awesome.
Yes.
So, Man, Coach EO, John Boston, Drew, and the Man Mindset, Steve Dedeen.
Thank you.
Much love, honor, and respect to you guys. And let's do it again, man.
We will. See you later.
That was good.
Cheers.
Thanks, guys.
Happy New Year's, guys.
Happy New Year, guys.